We are officially on a recorded line. Good morning, you guys. It is Card Monster on this beautiful Saturday morning, May 17th, 11 a.m. Today is our first official episode of the On a Recorded Line podcast. Like I said, my name's Card Monster or Josh, aka Card Monster with On a Recorded Line. You guys feel free to introduce yourselves.
My name is Millie, and I'm just excited to be here.
Austin, aka Texas.
Big Texas.
You know where we're at. You know what we're doing. On a recorded line here on a Saturday.
You just triangulate us?
Getting into some shenanigans.
Wait, did we get doxxed just right now? Did we just dox ourselves?
Maybe, but y'all will never know.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Who knows where we're at?
Yeah, Saturday morning antics is a little different than what we had done originally in the past. We do have a more raw recording of our first interaction together, which we'll probably post sometime later on down the line once we get a few more episodes under our belt. But typically we do this on a Sunday, but I think Saturdays work, I think, a little bit better. No?
It worked this time.
It did work on this time, yeah. I think, once we get into football season, Sundays is probably not going to make sense. Or
I'm down with Saturdays.
You know what I mean? Saturdays, if I don't have, if I'm not busy or something early like this would make sense, that'll also keep me good on Friday nights.
Cool. So Saturdays we'll probably do every other week or 2 weeks. Saturday we'll upload an episode for you guys. Anywhere from an hour to 2 hours long. We're just talking about whatever we feel like is interesting. I really kind of want to refrain from having like a specific topic that we talk about. I would like it to be kind of more of a free form, long format sort of podcast, right? Something that just kind of gets your gray matter in your brain moving for the day, but it's not too hard to think about. I kind of want to stay away from, current events, politics, right? I don't want to be too polarizing because the Lord knows that we deal with a lot of people like that in our everyday lives as it is. So
this is just good vibes.
Yeah, this is just good vibes.
We're just gonna have a good time.
Unbiased, exactly. Unbiased.
Speak freely.
Speak freely. You don't have to like our opinions, but you have to listen to them because you're listening to On a Recorded Line. But you don't have to agree with what we say, but we're also not saying anything out of malice, right? Or ill intent. This is just, three friends who, what we think and what we're based on our experiences. We'd say that's
fair.
Yeah. So it's been a while. So it's been what, 3 or 4 weeks since we have recorded last, right?
Yeah.
So how have you guys been since the last time we were here in this room? It's a little hot. I'm sorry. The summer is getting started, so it gets a little hot in my apartment. We can work that out later on.
I don't mind at all.
Doesn't bug me.
Yeah. How Millie? I know since the last time we talked, you had
Actually, I'm glad you brought this up because I just wanted to apologize in advance, or I guess for y'all, for the reason that this took so long to happen again. But for the audience to know, the last time that we were supposed to record this episode, on the way here, I crashed my car.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually hit. It was not my fault, but that's the reason that it's kind of been taking a little bit of time. And it's frustrating, going through insurance and stuff like that. But ultimately, it all worked out, so...
Tough. We're
here now. I'm just glad we made it.
Yeah, that was a tough time for you for a couple of weeks there. I forgot about that.
I was distraught.
Yeah.
Still am, but,
Yeah, so our schedule, we were on pace to have the first or second official episode, which however we were going to do, I think we decided that this would be the first official episode, but we were on pace to have that first official recording. But yeah, the universe decided that that canon event needed to happen, apparently.
Wait it out.
Yeah. But since then, I mean, you've had a couple of things happen other than the car accident, which thank goodness you are in good health, right? Mm-hmm. Everything got resolved. You got a brand new car.
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you get? What kind of car did you get?
I got a Kia K4, which I love because my other car was very basic. It was just a no Bluetooth, old radio, all analog. Like,
Well, yeah. What year was your original vehicle?
it was a 2018, but it was a very base Nissan Versa.
Okay, so you had a Nissan. So compared to the Nissan, how's the Kia? And Tex, you got to ride in it
Yes,
earlier
I
today,
did.
didn't you?
It's a spaceship.
It's a
And I love
spaceship.
it.
It's I mean, it's smooth.
This isn't a commercial for Kia, by the way.
It's not. But if you want to sponsor us.
Yeah, but if you do want to sponsor us, Kia, we are. Yeah,
It's a smooth ride. I'll tell you that. Smooth ride over. It's
It was a good time.
being a little passenger princess in the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Is it pretty spacious in the back?
I mean, yeah, it is. Yeah.
What kind of interior is it? Like all leather, or is it just?
No, it's actually the base model,
Base, okay.
but it has cloth gray seats. Actually, the color, I love the name of the color. It's Interstellar Gray.
Interstellar gray.
And it looks
bro.
like gray, but like when you wash it, it kind of sparkles.
It sparkles
I
a
love
little
it.
bit. The little sparkle motion. That's what you should call it. I don't know if you've ever seen Donnie Darko.
I love Donnie Darko.
Sparkle motion, yeah. But maybe you should think about that for the name of your vehicle. But if you decide to name your car. But so you said it's a spaceship, and then I guess Interstellar Gray goes along with that, like whole,
Theme behind it.
behind it. But how like, is it just like everything's digital inside? I mean, what is it like? I gotta take a look. I gotta see what that looks like.
Yeah, so like the dash, where it shows, your speed, your gas, all that stuff, it's just a screen.
Okay, cool.
And then the screen extends all the way over to kind of where the radio area is, and it's like CarPlay.
all
so that's
HD,
great.
all HD digital. Who's that? That rapper, Lil Baby. The Dash is Digi, yeah. The Dash is Digi, yeah.
Yeah.
That's digital. Yeah.
The digital Dash, cool. So, but that's the base model, and it still feels pretty luxurious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's dope. How much, if you don't mind me asking, how much did you pay for that?
So it was 24,000, but
It's not a bad deal.
I wanted a white one, and the guy was like, either I can get you a white one today and you pay the 24,000, or you settle for what we have here, which was the beautiful Interstellar Gray color, and we'll knock off 1,000. And I was like, I'll take that.
Yeah, I think I saw you guys pulling up when I was cleaning here through the window, the crack in the blinds. So it looked pretty nice. I thought a white one actually pulled up. I thought that was y'all, but then it kept going. So that's cool. Awesome. So congratulations on the new vehicle, especially
Thanks.
in a time where like everything is so expensive and so hard to get. Like
It's rough.
you were able to get a car pretty quickly
Yeah.
out of the insurance process was kind of a hassle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it ended up being not my fault, so, that helped to get the new car.
Yeah. So I don't want you to have to relive that
I'm traumatized.
nightmare of a moment, but what exactly happened when you got in the car accident? Like, they happen all the time, but
Yeah.
everybody's just different. Obviously, it just wasn't your fault. It seemed like in the beginning, from what I understand, that they tried to put it on you at first.
Yeah,
But-
so it was weird because the person hit me from the back into the car in front of me. And the car in front of me was apparently a rental car. But we all pulled over and, got each other's information and then went our separate ways. Should have called the cops, didn't. But that's, a lesson for the future.
Yeah.
But basically, when I had gotten in contact with the person who hit me, insurance, they were telling me that I was liable for the front damage because they had spoken to the person in the front and that they said that they felt two impacts, meaning I hit them and then the person hit me, which just wasn't true. And so then I gave my statement to my insurance, I got a personal injury lawyer because I was having pains and stuff. And we kind of fought back and forth for a little while, and eventually they just were like, you know what, we'll take liability for everything. And I was like, you should have from the get-go.
It happened outside of a gas station, right?
Yeah, so it happened under a bridge. I was turning left to get on the highway, and
Excuse that. Sorry, I'm getting blown up.
oh my goodness. You were the one that said,
I know,
do not disturb.
I was
Insane.
I was on Do Not Disturb. So
That is
we'll
insane.
edit that out.
No, we won't.
So yeah, this happened outside of a gas station, right?
Kind of. It was under a bridge. I was turning left to get on the highway. I was on what we call in Houston the feeder road. I don't know what y'all call that.
The on ramp.
Access?
All right.
access road.
You're trying to get on
Well, I
the
wasn't
freeway.
quite on the ramp yet. I was turning onto the road.
And you said, wait, you call that where? What do you call that?
We call it a feeder.
Where's that at?
Houston.
In Houston? Okay.
Yeah, that's the feeder road. But I've heard people call it the access road.
I mean, Texas is a big place, so I guess.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So you were on the access road, which
I was
you were
turning onto it. I wasn't even on it
So
yet.
you were gonna get on the highway. Yeah, we call that the access road.
Yeah.
Is that what you call that?
Yeah, when you're under a bridge, you're like you'll see you're hitting a turnaround, right? And that turnaround can feed onto the
feeder
onto
or
the access
onto
road?
the
It's a small portion of road. I think she's talking about, like a very
not the ramp in particular, but the road itself. Like where
Yeah, I call that whole. So you're originally from Houston. You're originally from Dallas, or you lived most of your life in Dallas.
Yeah.
I'm originally from here, so we just call. And this is a weird conversation to have, but
yeah,
we just call that road the access road. It's all the access road
until you're on the highway.
Until you're on the highway, yeah. Or the freeway, whatever you want to call it.
Then you can call, what do you call the streets?
I had never heard access
residential
road till I
road?
moved more north.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I guess residential road, access road, and then turnarounds, I know those are not a thing everywhere. You know, you get off and then you hit a turnaround in case you went the wrong way. Right? I know like in California, there's no turnarounds. You get off the highway, you're fucked until
left or right.
Until you figure your way back on. Yeah. Until you figure your way back onto the highway. But anyway, okay, so you're on the access road and you're just getting off out of the gas station. That's when it happened. Seems like that person wasn't paying attention, I guess.
Yeah, guess not. I mean, there was a lot of traffic. I was slowing down. I guess they didn't see. So.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that happened. That is, nobody likes to be in a car accident. That's unfortunate. I've been in plenty of them. None of which that I can honestly say were my fault, but that sucks, dude. But you got a new car out of it, so that's cool. That's awesome. I think you also, a couple of other things you were able to fund as well that were like things you needed, like obviously because of a car accident you get a little bit of physical injury, so you're able to do some stuff for your back. You know, you've had some back issues, right?
Yeah.
So you're able to do that. And you got a little bit of change in your pocket as well. But that was also like just that whole week and a half. I remember you were a little stressed out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So dang, that's not a nice. It's
best case scenario.
Yeah, it's a happy accident, right? Because you came out on top in the end, but initially it was shitty.
Right. It was rough. It's like you have to fight people. You have to speak up for yourself. And I don't like being an adult. I don't like being a grown up. So that was hard for like a long time. It was like I had to work. I had to worry about recovering my body. I had to, talk to these people that I didn't want to talk to all day long. But at the end of it ended with a good result. So I'm trying to look at it on the brighter side.
I mean, from the outside looking in, I gotta say you handled it very well. I mean, you did all your research, you were asking questions, you didn't just kind of push it off to the side. You're like, this needs to get handled. Now, like you said, as an adult, like the less mature us would probably like wait,
I have in the past. I have been in an accident before where I was like younger and I was scared. I didn't want to talk to insurance and I got screwed over because of it.
I think they do a good job of making you feel like you're in the wrong.
Everyone does, yeah.
I think that's their MO. They want you to feel like you're, because they don't want to pay for it,
Of course.
They don't want to give you any money or let you get a new car. Which, I mean, getting a new car is a blessing and a curse at the same time, because you get something new, but then now you have a car payment. But
right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you were due for an upgrade. So, like we said, as a canon event, I think that needed to happen for you to take that next step forward in wherever your life was going, But cool. But since then, you also had a fight, did you not? Did we talk about that?
I was supposed to, but I didn't end up having it.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so you were in all of that. I remember because that was during Lent, which we're not trying to be, like I said, polarizing here, but because that's a big thing in this city, and everybody's religiously, culturally different, right? You were doing that out of solidarity for a family member. You weren't eating bread, right? And so a lot of things were coming to a head for you.
Oh my gosh.
And then that car accident happened.
It was hard not having carbs in my body.
Yeah.
And then just like having to deal with all that.
Yeah. So hey, props to you. You got through it. That was what was that? 3 weeks ago, right? almost 4 weeks ago. So it's been a little while since we've been here in this room. But kudos. And then Big Tex. What I know you've some things have happened for you since the last time we've talked. Nothing crazy, just a lot of like stuff with the kids and family oriented stuff, right? I think the last time that you had something happen with your kids, didn't you? They did something at school. Nothing crazy, like a field trip or something.
Yeah, I mean, my kids are always having performances, field trips. My daughter got award ceremonies. My youngest she got AB honor roll. She's in Gifted and Talented.
Nice, congrats.
We just went to something the other day that they did like a little mystery. It was second grade, all the second grade GT kids.
Okay,
and it was a mystery that all the people there got to participate in. We got to try to figure out who stole some money from the GT teacher. It's kind of cute.
Okay, cool.
But other than that, everything's been with my kids. I did actually go to Dallas for the first time in a couple years.
There you go. Yeah. That's what it was. You had a family event in Dallas.
Yeah, it wasn't so much an event. Me and my brother I haven't been to Dallas in a long time, and that's where my dad's side of the family's at. So me and my brother went up there and saw my grandma, who had just recently turned 93 or 94.
And I think since the last time we were here, your birthday also passed.
My birthday was on March 4th, so I think we did this after that.
After your birthday.
Did we? I don't think we did. I think it was...
That means it would have been February.
I think it's been a while since...
Has it been?
I'd have to look. I think your birthday happened after. I think it's been a minute.
Whoa.
It's been a minute.
Because May, I think it might have been a little bit after my birthday.
I could be wrong. But
time is obviously a blur at this point. You know what I mean? Who knows?
But you're at your 30s, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just here, man. But yeah, so we went to see my grandma. She just turned, she's turned 94. She was happy to see us. So we're gonna try to get the whole family up there, sometime soon. Speaking of cars, that's basically the only thing holding me back and my family taking that trip, because the car that we have currently probably wouldn't be able to make that drive,
right?
Without taking a beating.
It's just so tough right now to buy a vehicle. I think, again, without being polarizing, it's just the state of the world. Right, and everything's so crazy expensive.
Everybody,
but I mean, so I don't. I feel your pain. I am also sans vehicle myself. So, but it wasn't a necessity until just recently, right? Like for you as well, I don't think.
Yeah, no, yeah. Coming up, by the end of this year, I hope to be in something else. It doesn't have to be anything new per se, but something with some more space. I'm in a Dart right now, Dodge Dart.
Yeah. What would you like to have?
I mean, anything with more space than that. We had a Jeep Compass before this, and that car got totaled. We got hit by some guy who was like 96 years old.
Car accidents.
Driving his wife to the hospital.
Old people just ramming into people.
On the way to work, we got T-boned by this guy. So then we got this Dodge Dart. So we downsized. So now we're hoping to get back up to. Anything with more space, because we have two kids, both about to be 10 years old. We need space for their backpacks and toys and whatever else.
Yeah, obviously,
with
a family.
Car seats?
Yeah, they have car seats. We need to get new one of those as well. They're getting, they're outgrowing the ones they have.
Yeah.
But
right.
Not by too much, but we just need, upgrade on that whole situation would be ideal.
So you'd like an SUV, ideally?
Yeah, ideally. We actually, when you got your Kia, Millie, I remember that day we were looking up Kia or vans, because one of our coworkers brought it up, and we searched
Carnival.
The Kia Carnival is kind of now my dream car.
Kia, again, please sponsor us. We love your Carnivals and your, what is it, K4?
The 2025 Kia Carnival is what because also a friend at work, Sosa, I'll just use that name. That's now like. Everybody wishes they had one of these.
Everyone's dream car.
It is so nice. Look at this. Search out the interior.
Let me look at this. Yeah. So I've never been one for the Kia Carnival, huh? Is it spelled with a K? Or?
No, the Kia is Carnival's with a C.
Okay.
Kia is with a K.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Obviously.
So the 20. So they do. Is it? So you drive one of these? You drive one of these?
He would.
I would drive.
It's not really a minivan. It's
exactly.
It's like a hybrid SUV.
Exactly.
This is like what the president would drive around.
You think so?
Something with.
You think Trump would drive around one of these?
Well,
okay, not him. A cooler president.
Look at the interior, and somebody important you could see being in the back of that.
Right, in the back, and then like the Secret Service right here.
So I mean, I do like the interior. I like that orange on black, that like kind of red orange on black
I don't like
interior, or
this one.
or like that.
Wait, pause.
That cream white on black is pretty
There's no way the
nice
seats
too.
go back like
Yeah, they do.
I very like to say, it doesn't sound very weird on the podcast, but I like to say in terms of like style with like color coordination, stuff like that, very, very ethnic. Yeah, I'm from the South Side. Yeah. I like bright, vibrant colors on my cars and inside my cars.
Neon lights.
The light, does it have neon lights?
I'd be okay with like just a
No, we can
black.
add them.
I'd be okay with the interstellar gray.
Oh
The
yeah.
interstellar
okay
gray.
with interstellar
The
gray?
dash is very digital. That's crazy. So what is it about this? Is it just like the room, or?
I mean, it just looks nice. Yeah, the room, like something like that would be nice. Like that was like honestly the first car we looked at when we were looking at vans or SUVs. We were at work the other day, and yeah, I mean I'm not asking for too much, right? It doesn't even seem like that crazy of a.
And Kia's very affordable.
Like
Yeah,
and pretty reliable. Like when I was
Would you
doing
say
my
so?
research, it was top 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Kia. Maybe
This is
I'll have to
crazy.
go that route.
we'll circle back in a couple months, see how you're feeling about your K4.
Yeah, I guess.
Right.
Okay, yes.
We'll
yeah.
circle back to that.
We'll have to come back and get a review on that. You know, Kia, sorry, this is not a Kia commercial, but sponsor us. We would love carnivals and K4s.
Yeah, to get here.
My mom has a Forte. She had a Sorrento, and she just loves Kia.
We're the-
I only did it because my mom loves it. and I saw it's up there.
We're going to be the next LeBron of podcasting, so sponsor us, please.
So
But okay, so yeah, Carnival, the K4. I'm a Toyota person, personally. I love Toyota just because I'm a Japanophile, which I was just recently told that is not a pleasant term for somebody who is into Japan.
Japanophile.
Japanophile, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't probably use that.
So yeah, I was told that's an ugly way to describe you being into Japan, but we'll talk about that. But no, I'm a Toyota person. I don't want to say strictly because I love Japan, but that is a reason. But I've also always been in Toyotas. They used to be affordable, but now San Antonio has a Toyota plant that makes the trucks. So that's always been a thing. But I've been really, and ever since they announced them, I've been really into the Ford Broncos.
I was hoping you'd bring
Oh
this
my
up.
God, I love that. I would take that as well, right? I love the old school style though, but the new ones are nice.
Have you seen? So there is a company that does or redoes old Broncos, and they soup them up. So they have like very modern aesthetics to them, and then very modern like technology in there as far as like your stereo, your dash, and everything. But it's the old look. But they go for something like 6 figures. Like you're paying $100,000 for that Bronco, but they have it set up so that way it's like it's not hybrid, but it's less gas mileage, that sort of thing. I'd have to look it up, but yeah, the Bronco I've been really interested in. Like I said before, I'm Sans vehicle myself, also victim of a car accident, but mine was from so long ago, and similar to what you guys were, I was blindsided, but mine wasn't an old person. Mine was actually, without getting into too much detail, because I had to take some accountability for the car accident as well, but although it wasn't my fault, the timing and place was my fault. I shouldn't have been out there at that time of the day. And anyway, the person who hit me was in a stolen rental vehicle. And we didn't find out any of that out until later. And then the rental company, because they didn't have insurance on the vehicle and it was stolen, didn't have to claim any like liability. So it was just a whole mess. And I ended up getting stuck without a payout and having to actually pay into covering the damages that happened. So I kind of got screwed on that end. But outside of that, I was driving a Toyota before. I was driving a Corolla, which was really nice.
Those.
Yeah, very good on gas. It was small and sporty, but yeah, I'm not a big American car person, but I don't know, these Broncos are really freaking nice. I don't know that I can afford like the Big Daddy Bronco, but the Bronco Sport is pretty nice as well. I don't know if you guys have seen those. I just really like the way that they look. I'm also big on being like outdoorsy. Like outdoors is kind of like what I want the vehicle for. Because we were talking about this, Millie, the other day about the camping setup that goes on the
Yes.
roof of the Bronco. I don't know if you've seen that.
Wait, what is this?
So there's the Bronco. So I guess it's one of the add-ons. I don't know if you can get it at the dealership, but you can buy it. I know that we were looking one up. I think we found one for like $1,000, but it's essentially a foldable tent, a pop-up tent that goes on the roof of the Bronco, and you just basically pop it open. It's just one like a door opening, and it pops up, and it's a whole tent on the top of your Bronco.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And
As
then
you pull the ladder out, it basically builds a
pops
tent
up
for you.
Yeah, so I like that because
I think that's badass.
I like to camp. I like to fish, those sort of things. When I'm in the mood, and
Right.
that's nice to have because I don't know if you've ever set a tent up before, but it's a bitch and a half.
Is that so?
I have.
So
It's brutal.
okay,
Yeah.
So she has it pulled up. Is this like sturdy? Like you wouldn't when you're sleeping, you wouldn't.
Roll
what is
off.
the bottom of that? Well, I'm not
So-
saying roll out, but so much like I feel like it would like hang over the edge.
What part are you talking about?
So she has it pulled up here.
I'm looking at them right now.
He's talking about like this part right here that's not really like on the roof of the car.
So if you like, what material would that be?
I'm
where it's-
assuming that is
has to be some kind of like thick plastic or something.
Yeah, I'm assuming that
Fiberglass.
there's probably a weight limit, that you gotta. I wouldn't imagine you can have like 4 people in that,
But
but
two,
I'm pretty
probably.
sure it's like steel reinforced. Yeah, you probably have 2 people in there.
2 people would be okay.
I mean, it would really just be me and Montana. I don't know how I'd get Montana up there, but
You'd have to carry her.
yeah. But I like that idea because, when you're camping, if you've ever camped before, sometimes you find a place, you got to find like a soft area to
you
camp.
could live out of that thing.
Yeah, you could live in
That
it.
setup that you just had up.
Yeah, just park in a Walmart and just
Pop the top.
pop the top. You're good to go. In the day and age of nomadic living, right? Everybody's moving everywhere, and everybody's living out of their vehicles. Like this would be. There was a guy. We were watching a YouTube video of a guy who had, I guess, everything that Rough Country, which is the company that I was looking at that makes this pop-up tent, and he had like an awning and some chairs and a table and like, and in his trunk space area, it was like a pull out like hot plate so he could cook. Like he had everything. You didn't need anything. The only thing he didn't have was a toilet and a shower. You know what I mean? And so I really like it because, like I said before, when you're camping, you kind of got to find like a soft spot. And if you don't, then that's an extra thing you have to bring with yourself. Bring with
Right.
your camping setup, like some sort of like padding to put down. And then if it rains, you're worried about water and all that other stuff, which is like elevated high. So you don't have to worry about animals. You don't have to worry about bugs, really. It's like,
Right.
and it's also like just so efficient. You just pop it open, crawl into the tent, you're good to go. You know what I mean? I would feel safer in something like this. But this is sort of the reason I want the Bronco. I like the outdoor whole thing about it. You know what I mean? Just that it's easy to take anywhere. They're supposed to, drive on anything, just like Jeeps are, And I don't know. I just like the idea of a big, rugged vehicle like that. Maybe that's the SDE in me, but I don't know.
Hey, I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty tight. Some of these look really nice. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I
Some
know.
of these-
Now we're talking about cars. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about cars.
This
all
one
day?
looks like a canopy.
Oh, that's super cool. Like
Yeah.
like a treehouse type, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have to. That is just
This is just where it went.
yeah. This is just where we.
Yeah.
Since the last time we were here, vehicles have been a big thing on all of ours. Like I like this. Let me show you this one. Send this to you. I just like the way this one looks because it's kind of like underneath everything. You can kind of just hang out, Let me see. I'll put it in the degenerates chat here. So it's kind of like instead of having to have like an awning or like tarp, you could just hang out underneath the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, no. Vehicles don't have to be the only topic today. I actually had something I did want to talk about, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to catch up with you guys first. I know, which is really weird because we see each other daily.
Daily.
So I know I wasn't there yesterday, but we see each other daily. But for the
Dude, no one was there yesterday.
nobody,
No.
huh?
Yeah, it was.
Like-
It felt empty.
Really?
15 people called out. It
I
was
have that
crazy,
effect.
dude.
Yeah, I have that
Yeah.
effect.
Oh, Trend Center?
Yeah.
Trendsetter.
Yeah, everybody's like Josh or
Oh, you had a party here?
Card
Didn't
Monster's
invite
not
us?
going to be
That's
here.
crazy. We were at work.
That's wild.
No, I honestly, I just needed a day away. That place has been so
Just a day, right?
exhausting. Yeah,
Yeah, I think everyone did.
Yeah,
It's okay.
so I don't know. It took so much for me to not call in earlier in the week.
Right.
Like just save it. Like just wait till you get a 3-day weekend. Yeah, our day jobs have been just emotionally exhausting. I don't know how you're doing because you've definitely stepped up your game a lot since you've been there, and you've been like
No.
crushing it.
Yeah, you've been locked in ever since.
Yeah, and
Ever since a certain person got put in a position to influence you to do that.
Oh, is that so?
Just kidding.
who?
Him. Take the
Oh,
credit.
okay.
No, I was
Oh,
just
that's
kidding.
right.
I
That
was
makes
just-
sense.
I'm
I was
like,
just
you
kidding.
were-
That
Ever
makes
since,
sense.
ever since I've been like, what are you doing? Like,
So that's another big event since
yeah,
you got promoted at work.
Yeah. like,
Uh, we don't
Big
want us
boss
to
man?
be big boss man. So you're essentially in a position of leadership,
yeah.
which you've definitely stepped up your game a lot as well since that
Yeah.
happened. Maybe that's what you needed there was like you needed some not incentive but like purpose.
I feel
you know?
like
Yeah,
you need
I just
to
need-
interact with people instead of like,
Staring at a screen for
right,
yeah.
teach people because
Yeah.
you're so good at teaching
I've always
people.
said I think I'd rather much be a coach than a player.
yeah,
love
In this
that.
stage of my,
Career.
life just in general.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things in life you'd rather be a player than a coach, but in this instance, and what we're doing, 100% would rather be a coach than a player.
Yeah, they being a player in this career field like sales, marketing, whatever, is exhausting.
Exhausting.
It's super exhausting.
And if you've done it for so long, it's one of the career paths that's easier to be a coach than a player once you've been there for so long because the people, your employers, would much rather have you in that position. They'd rather you trickle down your help to 10 different people as opposed to you just going hard.
The trade-off is weird though because you're trading for that freedom, that like stress. The caveat is like, oh, but the bonus. But you got incentivized, a little bit,
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, they didn't take it away completely,
Oh, that's true.
but they cut my time in half to hit those numbers, so they cut the KPIs in half to
Right.
make them more attainable. I still don't really. That's not so much my goal as it is to just kind of get through each day with,
Amen to that.
with my sanity.
That's that is true. I definitely have noticed that you seem less stressed now that you're there, which I don't know what that says about me because then they like isolated me from everybody.
No.
So I'm like,
They
I don't
knew
know.
that we were too powerful together, so they had to separate
So
us.
essentially, I feel like that's what happened. Yeah, I don't know. It is a little peaceful. I will say that, in the fact that like, this is horrible, but I can sleep more comfortably, and I mean, maybe that's what they wanted. They're like, let's just put him away, like
Yeah.
because it is. I mean, I don't know what their strategy was, but like you can see me even less in that spot than where I was initially.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't understand what that was about.
I'm fully visible, so I think that was intentional.
Yeah, I guess maybe they were like, we don't have to worry about him,
Right.
So let's put him in a corner where like we can't see him.
Or-
Put him in his.
Yeah.
Or he's gonna do what he wants to do anyways, so to cover us, we'll put him in a spot where he's not visible.
That I feel like that has been a weird theme for me there lately. A lot of people have been coming to me and being like, "You just do whatever you want, don't you?" And I was
Yeah.
like, I guess, like, I don't know, because the other day when I was asking you about that weird email setup, they were asking me how the people I was setting up for asked me, well, how do you do it? I was like, honestly, don't care what they asked me to do here. I just do this anyway. And they were like, so you don't follow. The two guys I was helping were like, you don't follow any of the rules here. I was like, none. And they were like, really? I was like, yeah, I'm just cheesing my way through this every day, until they tell me to stop, right? And even then, I'll probably keep doing it, But yeah, essentially that could be the thing. I don't know. So I don't know. That place is not real. That place isn't real. It doesn't
not.
exist. Yeah, it is a. I think this is reality. What we're doing right here, right now, right?
For sure.
Enough about that place. Yeah, I did have something I did want to talk about because I know we've all been so wrapped up in like tedious life events and things like that. I did have a life event that was coming up that I'm not. I don't want to say it's not a stressful thing. It's not a bad thing. It's more of a. Are you putting in slips?
Yeah, he's putting in slips.
Yeah.
He's been doing that.
Yeah,
this
don't
whole
worry. Let's get back to what we're doing.
Oh no, because I want to follow this, but
Right.
I mean, I want to talk about that. We don't have to talk about you specifically, but I'm going to talk about my strategy,
Yeah.
what I've come up with that in a little bit. But yeah, like I said, I did have a live event coming up that it's not stressful. I mean, it is in a sense in the fact that like I might have to like be on or like perform a little bit in that, like. But my little sister, I have a couple little sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 8-year-old and soon to be 15-year-old little sister, but she'll be 15 next Sunday. And she's about to have a quinceañera. So that is going to be, that's a big, I think that's a big thing for me too, because I've always wanted a sister, never had one. She's my first sister. And she's the oldest of my sisters. And so that's a big thing because she actually wants me to walk her into the quinceañera.
Yeah.
Yeah. She wants me to, because with the quinceañera, that's like a Latin culture, like Sweet 16, but this is like the woman's coming of age birthday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Is that what that is? So, but this is done more in like Latin cultures. I think specifically Mexican, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if like Puerto Rican, Cuban.
I think it definitely leans more heavily Mexican.
Mexican. Okay, so we're having our quinceañera on Memorial Day weekend, which is a Sunday. There's a lot of reasons why people. My family has a small business. We do catering, so we do things like this a lot, and we usually we mock people who are like they did the quinceañera on a Sunday, but it's usually cheaper. But this one actually works out because people are off the next day, so it's kind of like an extra day to party,
Right. Because y'all aren't going to sleep early by any means.
Yeah, that's
Quinceañeras never end until like maybe 4 in the morning.
So I mean, I used to attend a lot of these when I was a kid because just being Mexican and having a lot of family members and cousins and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this time it's a little different because now I'm like directly a part of it, and it's my sister, So you're right. I will have to be invested for a larger period of time than I'm used to. The last quinceañera I think I went to was for a cousin of mine, but I didn't have to participate. I was just kind of there, And so I was there. I made an appearance. I ate and I Irish goodbye, I was like, good, just gonna disappear and leave.
Love that.
Right.
Yeah. But now I can't do that because
You're expected to be there.
So, from what I understand, there's a what do they call it? Ceremony of gift giving.
Yes.
From the parents and godparents, right? Then there is, I guess you'd call it a promenade that they walk in, right? And I'm her. What
Chaperone.
do they? But they call that something in Spanish.
Chambelán.
Chambelán.
You're her main chambelán? Like you're gonna be in the dance and everything with her?
I hope not.
Because you may just be like, walking her in, and but you're not necessarily like paired with her. Like, if she has a group, is she gonna have like a friend group?
Although she's Hispanic, she's very much a coconut.
Oh my goodness.
So she's more like goth and like brooding.
Wait, what color's her dress? First of all,
I don't know.
What?
So there's a theme.
It's literally next week.
I don't know. I was told.
The colors are like the biggest thing in the quinceañera.
So I'm not taking care of any of that.
You just walk.
I'm just so the theme is Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, I love that. I love that theme.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be fire.
So the theme is Alice in Wonderland, and I'm supposed to be the Mad Hatter, and I'm supposed to walk her in. So the idea is, so they bought me which if you could see it, you guys would probably laugh. It's a very it's like a coat vest with tails.
Yep.
Like steampunk.
Wait, is she
type.
Alice?
She's going to be Alice.
Is she blonde?
No.
Oh, okay.
She has lighter hair, but I mean, she would have to be Alice, right? It's Alice in Wonderland,
Right.
Quinceañera.
She's the main character.
But they do want me to get a perm and be in full makeup.
That's a lot.
and I have to wear the hat and everything.
Where's this go? I need to be there. I
And
need to see
so-
this.
Is that next week?
Yeah, it's next weekend. I mean, I'll also y'all can come. I don't know why they would say
No,
that.
I'm just kidding. I just want to
But
see. Just wear that same stuff to work the next day.
Yeah, no. So
Makeup and everything.
that's as far as I know. Again, I don't know any of the plans. I was just told this is a possibility. So we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really thought too much about it because although I'm very extroverted, this is sort of a thing that like most people get nervous about. Like we're not
Stage
really.
fright.
Yeah, I have a little stage fright. Like I don't know why. I don't know. It's gonna be weird. I think a little bit because now I'm expected to be there. I don't know if I'm like officially in the court. I know my other brothers will be in it as well.
Okay.
Which I have 3 younger brothers. But yeah, I think it's gonna be her and I are I don't feel like we're very close. I feel like because she's my half sister, but I don't refer to them like that. They're just refer to them as my sister's brothers, right?
Right.
But her full blood little brother, older brother, Elijah. I don't mean to dox him, but I feel like they're closer. I've seen them do things. I was like, oh, you have a very much more. But I've also maybe because I'm the older brother, I go spend time with them when we play board games and stuff like that. Like
Right.
maybe there's more of a father figure aspect to that with me and her than my other brother. But like I've seen her share drinks with my other brother that I'm like, oh, that's a sibling thing. You know, I've never done that with them. You know, I'd probably be like, gross, don't drink out of my drink.
Like, yeah, don't.
That's mine. Leave it
Yeah,
alone.
don't sip out of that, you know. But from what I understand, what my family has told me, and I don't like again, we're so far apart in age that maybe I don't notice this, but they're like, you bring out a side of her people don't see. So when I'm with her, apparently she's more extroverted. She's not so much brooding. She likes to do, so I bring the board games over and she likes to role play. So she like gets into the characters and stuff. They said when you come over and you're there with her, we don't see this side of her. And I'm
You're like, it's like the cool uncle.
yeah, I guess.
Almost.
Yeah,
Right? Like
kinda,
the cool
yeah.
uncle.
Yeah, I actually like heard this thing about like psychology a little while back, and it was basically saying that like as humans, like we're basically wired that once we hit those teenage years, our brain tells us that our parents are stupid. But that's because we're meant to, at that age, like it's childbearing age, you're supposed to go off on your own, find a different tribe, not be in your community, you know, and that's like a biological thing to get you away from your family so that eventually you can come back. And people notice like you hate your parents when you're a teenager, but then when you're an adult, you're like, what was I thinking? You know, like my parents are pretty cool. You know, in most situations.
So I guess because like biologically, before we were civilized, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
when we were in our little tribes and stuff, like at the teenage age, it's like, okay, you go off and have a family now.
Yeah, you gotta go. You can't
Because
stay here.
Life expectancy was so low.
Exactly.
So you hit 13, they're like, go make kids.
And also, you don't want to stay in your community, you know, and like make kids. You want to be pushed away from that so that you can expand your DNA
Okay.
pool, you know. But because of that, I think like because I have that same kind of feeling of with my sister. I mean, she's not a teenager yet, but I feel like I can see that coming with her. Where once she's a teenager, she's gonna be like, "Fuck you, mom," and then just be like, "I'm going to my sister's house. She's cool." You
the
know?
rebellion is coming.
Right,
The
yeah.
rebellion
And
is...
you're kind of that because you're not her parent, so you're not going to be there to like judge her or, you know.
I definitely don't coach them in anything. I will give nuggets of advice like,
Right.
hey, don't drink, don't smoke, you know, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, be a good person.
Be a good person, right? Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. But I'm never the type to like come down on them. But I've also never seen them. I have seen them. I am big about joking with them when we play games. Like, oh, you're cheating. Like, I know you're cheating. Don't be a cheater, you know. But I don't think that they actually are. But yeah, I guess that is. I never thought about that because I don't. My father, their father is. He's very strict. He's very strict, very
Overbearing.
old school, overbearing. Always constantly worried that somebody's gonna die. So it's like you can't do this, you can't do that. But it's like, you know, which I guess you know a good parent should be. Which is another conversation for another time.
Right.
But yeah, I guess that maybe that's the way. I don't know.
I love that y'all have that bond though. That's really precious.
And maybe that's just me seeing that. I don't. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it. I take it to more credit than is actually due. But I'd like to think that she looks up to me like, oh, I love my older brother. Like,
Right.
look, he.
Yeah.
I don't see them very often. Now, my littler sister, the youngest of the sisters, she does feel like that about me, but she also just has a very big heart. She's just very.
She loves everyone.
She's just like a little fountain of love, and you know, she's very much a goody two shoes, and she just wants to be good, do good, help. You know, she wants to be included a lot. But she can also be very annoying because she's still a kid. But,
right, kids are
Yeah.
inherently.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's coming up. I'm a little nervous about that. I haven't, like I said, I haven't been a part of I've never been in a quinceañera ever in my whole life. Like, even as a kid, I guess maybe I didn't know any girls growing up, and
Yeah.
I was never asked to be in a quinceañera, even though there was a girl group in high school that my friend group was close with, and they were all from, okay, here we go.
Here we go
Well,
again.
That's great. But that girl group, they were, let me just turn that off there. They were all from Mexico, like straight from Mexico, but not a single one of them ever asked me to be in like a quinceañera. So this will be the first quinceañera my whole life, or Sweet 16 that I've ever been to. So I don't know. This is a little different for me. I've seen it happen. Like I said, I've been to a bunch of them, but like on the outside looking in, I've never actually been a part of it. So this will be new. I don't want to be included to that extent where, like, what do you call it? The chambelán?
Chambelán, yeah.
I don't want to do that, but then it'd be like, it's like the girl in the rom-com where she's like, I've never went to prom, and now she's like 30 and she's talking to the high schooler, and she's like,
"Go.
we're gonna go to gonna go to prom. No, what is it? Never been kissed. Didn't Drew Barrymore not go to prom in that movie? And then
I never seen it.
She never seen it.
My mom has been begging me to watch that movie for years.
Great.
And I'm like, I'll watch it, and then I don't.
So, no, here we go. Good segue. Nice little guilty pleasure of mine is I love rom-coms.
I actually never really liked romantic movies.
I've seen them all. I know.
Yeah.
Seen it.
There's been a couple. Maybe like Adam Sandler had some good ones. I was never really into rom-coms. Yeah, I never really got into it. I love comedy though. But
So-
Love com.
but the rom side, I'm not. It's not
all about the com, but not the rom.
yeah.
No, so yeah, it's got to be specifically rom-com. It can't just be rom. It's got to be rom-com.
What's Titanic?
That's a rom.
That's just a rom.
That's
straight
rom.
rom.
That's
Okay,
a drama.
The Notebook.
That's a
Rom.
drama.
That's straight rom. Okay, yeah, I don't
Straight
like
rom.
those. Maybe I do like rom-coms a little bit
Like
more.
50 First Dates rom-com.
Haven't seen it.
You haven't seen 50 First Dates?
No.
What?
I haven't seen a lot of rom-coms. I haven't seen a lot
But
of
it's, I
roms.
don't even consider that an Adam Sandler movie, not even a rom-com. But okay, that's fine.
What's the other one? Just Go With It?
I haven't seen that one.
That's a
I
good one.
love that one.
The one where they go to no with Jennifer Aniston.
And
Yeah,
I know
and
she's in it.
she's
They go to
like-
Hawaii.
Yeah, she's like his fake wife, but then they end up falling in love at the end.
What about The
So-
Proposal with Ryan Reynolds?
That's a great
Haven't
one. I
seen it.
love.
Or what about Just Friends
I don't
with Ryan
really
Reynolds?
Sandra Bullock? I
like
love Sandra
Ryan
Bullock.
Reynolds.
Really?
Ryan Reynolds. Okay.
Right, but I think
We're
it's
gonna have
because
to unpack that.
I don't have
but
an
let's continue to
attachment
unpack the
him.
rom-com thing. Hold on. Okay, so
We'll come back to
No,
this on another
honestly,
episode.
it's a thing. It's like a real thing.
So
Like, I
no-
avoided them vehemently in my childhood, and now that I'm an adult, I'm like,
let's understand that. Why?
because I didn't believe that love existed.
Okay. Whoa. That is
Yes.
so heavy.
When I was younger,
It's a
it was
great
just
conversation right there. Okay.
We're going into
That
tangent
wasn't
too.
like visible to me in real life. Like nowhere in real life did anything like that ever happen.
Okay, so we don't need to go unpack all of that just yet. That's
Right, I'll hold on to
that. That we'll hold on to. But there's
Stuff it down.
but we all know in our personal
Right,
lives.
right.
The audience doesn't know. We know why.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll unpack that. But okay, so there just wasn't examples of that in your
Yeah, and I
personal life.
You know,
So anytime a rom-com came up, you're like ick, like throw up.
I was like, this
Gag
is-
me with a spoon.
It's lame and it's vapid. Like these
Vapid.
people are so obsessed with themselves and nothing else in the world. I'm like, it's
I
ridiculous.
do understand that because a lot of the times, when you're a kid, you're very impressionable, and when growing up, when we grew up, a lot of everything became media and content, and when you don't see real life in that, you're like, this is dumb.
Yeah,
This is like
that would
it's-
never happen.
It's like the TikTok or Instagram effect, right? Where people have these super lavish lifestyles, but when you really unpack what's going on, they might not be happy. They're just like, oh, this is just for
Their
the gram.
relationships are failing. You know?
And when you look at content like that or media like that, you're like, this is kind of, it doesn't. I don't like.
It's not relatable.
It's not relatable. I don't like this.
Well,
don't show me this again, right?
So it wasn't relatable to you because those examples weren't ever.
Yeah.
So you're just. I mean, I see that now where I'm in my life now.
Yeah.
Rom-coms have been less. I'll still like, when I need a feel good movie, watch one occasionally. But it used to be a thing for me where I'm like, this is life. Like this is how it should be.
You romanticize everything.
I was very much a romantic growing up.
That's what my mom is.
I very much.
I love that about her.
I believed in like grand gestures for the woman and showing her that you love her and like the serendipity of it all. But like none of that. Yeah. Now I'm like, none of that exists. That's all bullshit. But for you back then, but the roles are reversed now, right? So now you very much so you believe in romance, don't you?
Yeah, I would say that I believe that when somebody cares about you, that there are ways that they can show it, and it may not necessarily be a way that is visible to you, like how they say with love languages. Like, for example, if somebody's like with Omar, he does my oil changes. He'll like offer to fix things in the house, and like that's how he shows me. But it's never like still in those like romantic comedies, like
flowers.
That's
right,
more
or like the boom box outside, kissing in the rain. I'm like,
that's more because what you're talking about is more real life romance.
So
like this is the way it really is. So you would say
having someone
you're
show
in your
the
soft
effort,
girl era.
I believe it.
Okay, so you would say you're more now in your soft girl era than you were before.
But it's rare. I still recognize that it's rare, especially in today's society. It's so hard to have something real and like to trust that the person that's like telling you who they are is being honest, because a lot of times people will say whatever they need to say to get into a relationship, because especially now it's so hard to do that.
So circling back, a movie I think that is like kind of back to where she says like it's not relatable. A movie I watched when I was a kid that really had me hooked was Pursuit of Happiness, because that hits so deep and it's so real.
Is that a romance?
No, but I'm just saying. In speaking of like the movies that you would like to watch, whether it's rom, because some people consider that a rom.
Yeah,
you consider that a rom.
I mean, romance is a very loose definition. Romance can be the romance of a specific like.
But you can see that's a hard hitting, like from a child's perspective, like both the mom and the dad in that movie were struggling to make ends meet. And it's like, and growing up, if you see that, you're like, this is what movies should be. Like this is, these movies.
This is real.
This is real. Like this is, but when you watch, I'm trying to think of like you said, the boombox or the, in the rain or the chasing through the airport, right? Like when you chase somebody, don't get on that plane.
I like that. I like those.
Those are good for movies. 100% great for movies.
But you don't think that, okay, what if things were like that, though?
It was so high stakes.
No, there's truth in everything. I guarantee you at some point in the Earth's existence, all those things have happened. Somebody has been inside of a window with music playing, or somebody chased somebody through an airport and the security guard's like, go get him, right? Like,
right, go get your man.
You know what I mean? I guarantee all that's happened, but that's 100% something that somebody's like, that belongs in a movie. That's Hollywood.
It's Hollywood.
But it's happened, I'm sure, and maybe those people got divorced a year later.
So right? I think that was a thing for me that I understood, okay,
so good.
Rom-com is definitely make-believe, right? Mm-hmm. But I also believed it in the sense of like, when you love, in the instance of those movies, when you loved that passionately, it was very short-lived. That can't last forever, right? But that was the beauty of it. It's like, oh, I used to believe, so like it's okay to love that hard and let it fizzle out because at least you got to do it,
Right.
But
it's part of the human experience.
Now I'm more of under the impression that it takes work. So like to your point, the real life romance is like they took the garbage out, they washed the dishes,
or they show me the effort.
They're listening. X, Y,
little
Z.
things,
right? But because I've never experienced any of that truly, I don't feel like, at least not to the standard that I want, I guess. Now I'm like, okay, love doesn't exist. You know what I mean? But it was a guilty pleasure of mine because it was feel good. Adam Sandler is probably the king of the rom
love
com,
him.
but it was something that I would watch because it made me feel good. You know, I was like, ooh, okay, I want to treat a woman like this. I want a woman to love me like this. But now, I think the internet has ruined everything.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, so you can't even watch those movies now. Now we've switched roles definitely, Millie. You're more romantic than I am, but it used to be the other way around.
I'm romantic about life. I'm romantic about everything. I'm more positive now in my adult life than I was as a child. It was like doom and gloom.
Same.
Now I'm like, you know what? Actually, I don't know what I was tripping about. Life is actually pretty good.
Well, you live on your own terms now. You don't have somebody or anything holding you back. You're doing what Millie wants to do.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's great. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a good time. I, on the other hand, am like, everything I'm doing is wrong. The way the way I was living before, but I had like, a kid looking out like the world's so big. It's just, I'll never get to experience it all, but I want to try.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like, the world is too fucking big and too many things are going on and I don't like it.
And people want things from me.
Yeah, people want things from me.
It's crazy perspective because I have 2 kids and it makes me see the world completely differently. And I always tell people, like, if I didn't have kids, I think I'd be a menace to society.
A degenerate.
Because I would have fallen trapped to what the world has become, especially, the Western, United States. Like, this is like, we're in a crazy place right now.
With the internet. I think it's the internet. AI and the internet.
The internet, just in general, right? None of this stuff would have happened without the internet. AI, all that stuff. Internet is the base for everything. And I would have probably fallen into that trap. If I wouldn't have had kids and, got into a committed relationship and kind of chosen took the family route. It kind of sounds bad to say, but, thinking about it, it's like, you always have these like, what if this, like, I think I would be, menace to society with kids.
And okay,
helped a lot.
Obviously, so without like any sort of like putting you on the spot or like, I don't think there's anything incriminating, but like, what would you like when you say fallen victim to the way the social constructs are now in Western society? Like, you would just be like partying all the time?
Yeah, just out and about trying to live a lavish lifestyle that I probably couldn't afford.
Okay, that's
and then on the internet, it would have seemed like I was, right? Like, always out, always doing this, but in reality, it would have been like,
iced out,
asking for money, having to do this, couldn't pay the bills, but would have always been down for Friday night, Saturday night shenanigans.
I feel that.
I've definitely lived that life.
It's turned me away. Having kids has turned me away from obviously that.
It's domesticated you.
It's domesticated me, and I'm thankful for that.
It's not a bad thing.
I've heard that with as hard as it is to raise children, especially nowadays, because of like just the economy and everything like that it's actually easier to live that way because you learn to live within or even sometimes under your means. So you always, bills are paid, food on the table, the important things matter, as opposed to like what you're talking about. The other end of that spectrum is like, oh, I'm always out spending money on frivolous stuff that like I never have money and I'm begging, pulling out loans and gambling, you know what I mean? Like, which, I mean, that's kind of how I live my life right now.
But if I can go back and do it, I 100% would take a different approach to everything, right? Like, out of high school, I would have joined the military. I would have done, however many years I could have done, after whatever I had to do.
Yeah.
I think 4 is like the standard for most branches, or depending on what you do or whatever.
It's 2, but 4 is like I think is like what most people want to do, because I think at 4
you get
some benefits.
Yeah. Whatever I had reached that level, I would have seen how many more years I could have gone and be like, okay, you know what? I think I'm done now. And I would have been probably not even 30 years old. If I would have gone in at 18, I 100% would have stayed. I wouldn't 100% have stayed till 30, but I would have at least a good 10, maybe.
I mean, you'd be set for life at 30, because I have a lot of friends who are lifers that they're still doing it. But they're very high up in their careers, and if they were to retire right now, they wouldn't have to do anything. Taking another job for them would just be so life doesn't get boring.
Something to do.
Yeah.
To leave the
pass
house.
the time,
exactly.
To get outside.
Because they would have to work. One of my friends was telling me the way he is set up, and he could have not re-enlisted. He would be getting a check enough, I think in the amount of like $4,500. That's after tax every month. In total, both his checks, he wouldn't have to. Bills are paid, everything's paid. I'm fed. You know, he could just take a part-time job, some BS job, and that's his fun money. You know what I mean? And then I took a class with some when I did my certification for web design and web development. A lot of people in there were military, and what they did was, because they got the GI Bill, which the GI Bill, it doesn't matter how long, you can use it to pay for school all the time, anytime, until you die, apparently. That they would just take, they finished school and then would go get a master's in something else, or go get a certification in something else, and just take course after course after course. And they're just like, yeah, I just want to learn as much as possible. I'm
Dude,
retired.
I would love that. That's
you know?
honestly the dream. Like, if you had enough funds to just stay in school, learn everything you want to learn, like,
Yeah.
that's kind of awesome.
I think I would stop at a point to where, like, I know enough to where I can be internally happy to live the rest of my life doing this thing. Like, for me, for example, what I want to do is make music growing up. And I would have learned it. I would have just continued to learn music my whole life. I wouldn't have cared to learn anything really outside of that. Maybe I would have, obviously, since everything's computers now, I think tech would have been a big part of that.
Yeah.
But other than that, if it's not related to, or if it wouldn't have been related to, or, you know, help me get more knowledge about that specific thing, I probably wouldn't have touched it.
Well, so the beauty of that bill, I think, is that it doesn't matter what you're getting your education in, as long as you're getting your education. So you could have done music, and they wouldn't have batted an eye. They'd be like, good, great, learn every instrument.
Oh yeah.
You know,
in terms of, I'm just saying in terms of like learning stuff throughout my life, yeah. But the bill, yeah, they don't care. We don't care what it is, as long as you're going to learn.
And I might be greatly mistaken. I don't know if you want to look it up, but I think they could do this for as long as they want. They don't have to. That they graduate, they can continue to get more degrees. Like these people that were in the class with me, they're like, yeah, this is my 5th certification this year. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, I'm doing 2 others at this time of the day and this time of the day. So they're just in class all day from their computer from home. So, but anyway, yeah, I think I would have gone that route as well. I think that, yeah, there's a romance to having a family that you're experiencing that I think, a lot of people, I never saw that. I think growing up too, I always saw the family unit as like, it doesn't exist. Like, to your point, you know, there was never good examples for me. I mean, there was up to a certain point, and then there's like a very rude awakening for me where it's kind of like, oh, that's not real.
Your timeline hit a point in the timeline where it kind of branched off. Like, wait a minute, this isn't.
Yeah, this isn't. I thought the life.
It's not a straight line through.
Yeah,
life,
I thought
right?
families were supposed to be the straight line, but no. My family went off on this course.
This, and then that from that branch, and then, you know, that's how it is. Right?
I think that's a very cruel like trick that we play on kids, is that like we and maybe they don't need to know, but it's kind of like we teach them like, this is the way it's supposed to be, you know, like mom and dad are gonna be happy forever and they're gonna love you, and it's like no. Mom and dad may not love you forever, and mom may only love you and dad might not, or what,
they might not love each other.
They might not love each other. Yeah.
Or you might not love them eventually at one point, right? It's not everything is, you know, strawberries and rainbows.
So I guess, like, if I were to have kids, I would be that type of parent. Very real. Like, the world is not, you know, like, there's a lot of beauty here, but like, it's more ugly than it is.
Yeah, now obviously,
you know?
when they, from my experience, I think once they hit the point where they start to get into school, like 1st grade, 2nd grade, is when you, like, up until that point, everything is rainbows and, you know, unicorns and all that stuff. But once they hit a point where they're asking you real life questions, or they're really, and I say this because my daughter just asking, you know what I mean? Like, she just asks questions. All she cares about is learning stuff, and which I love that for her, because she's in GT, she does good grades, but it's going to become to a point where it's like, this is not how life is. Like, this is how this is. And she's like, oh, like for example, we were talking about Christmas. We last Christmas we were doing something, and then all they could talk about was presents. But I had to be real, and I was like, look, it's not about the presents. It's about spending time with your family. It's about getting together.
It's about the romance of the holiday.
Yeah. But, you know, and I told her this. I was like, some kids don't even have Christmas. Some kids don't get presents, let alone don't even know what they're going to eat that night for dinner. Right? And she was like, you know, I didn't. Maybe those weren't the exact words I used, but I kind of laid it out to her. Like, some kids don't even have shoes or a bed to sleep in, right? It's like, that's when.
How did she take that?
I mean, she's just like, you know, it didn't make her sad or anything. She's just like, oh, Okay.
I get it. Yeah.
Like you're right. Like I shouldn't only think about the presents. I need to be happy that I'm with my family. And it's
I'm
just
not in school.
it's little things like that, right?
Time.
Little things like that. Like, of course you're going to get presents because, you know,
that's part of it.
that's part of it. But let's say you didn't get any presents. You should still be happy that we're all here together.
There's food. There's
you have a roof over your head. You know what I mean? The lights are on. You have, warm water to take a shower with. You get to eat 3 meals every day. Some kids don't have that. And to your point, like you said, once that branches off, then from then on, it's like, you're kind of at the world's
whim. Yeah.
Yeah.
So her little brain was able to understand, like,
yeah, I mean, I hope
there's
so.
importance here outside of the gifts. Like, the gifts are a bonus, but like the time. I think one of the things that I think
she's very mature in her thinking, and
Yeah.
she started to understand that not everything is how it seems.
because I think one of the things that is hard for a child to grasp is like the concept of time. That they don't realize, because I remember being a kid and being like, days last for fucking ever. Like, this hour is taking a week, and this week is taking a year, like X, Y, and Z. But that is probably like the biggest thing to be thankful for on like a holiday is like, oh shit, I have all this free time. I could just not do anything, or I can do all the things. Like, you know what I mean? They don't realize that, you know what I mean? Where there's some people who time is like stood still for them, like you said, like, because they don't know when their next meal is going to come from. They don't know where they're going to sleep, right? So this time is just kind of dragging on for them, you know what I mean? So I think that's a big lesson to teach kids. That's something that we don't teach kids, like the romance of like what it's like to have like legitimate free time.
Like
you know what I mean? It's like, on the topic of romance, right? Like, I think, because like you said before, like, romance isn't just like love, boy, women, man, woman, love each other. There's like the romance of like a specific, like the playing a sport, like the romance of like getting to the pros and then making it to a championship. Like, there's a romance in that, like that you kind of
romance. Cry at the end of that.
Yeah,
like,
the
and that
camaraderie with your team.
Yeah. So that was one of my guilty pleasures when I mean, it's not so much anymore, but like the romance in things, that's why I liked rom-coms, because I was like, ooh, this is so beautiful and like makes you feel good, you know what I mean?
Which is a great thing and now all that's been kind of spoiled by the internet,
Well, it's crazy because I saw something the other day, and I hate that we kind of do this very often, but I think it just works because we are men and women in the same room talking about this kind of thing. But like, one of the things that I heard on the internet the other day was like the idea of like how men and women love each other. Like there was a role reversal somewhere in the last like 10 years where like now men love more romantically, and they're giving an example of like the idea of chivalry back in the day. It's like, women didn't create that because back then when that was a thing, women didn't have enough rights to be like, I want this. Like,
right.
Men
demand anything, really.
Men were like, oh, I'm giving you this to show you that I'm worth being with, right? Here's the flowers, the time, the Montana. The effort.
Her.
Yeah, Montana? You good? She's good. She'll be on another episode. But yeah, men invented that, right, to show women that they were worth taking a chance on, or like to even be with or bear their children, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, or I think also, and this also goes tied in with quinceañeras, it's to set them apart or kind of elevate them over the standard, which was being forced into a relationship where you're unhappy, where you didn't have a choice, where you kind of just have to do as you're told, and they can, I guess, and this is not in a negative way at all, but like pump their ego by understanding I'm not the same as that person that you're just marrying because you have to.
Right.
We actually have like love, this is like in all the old Disney movies, all the old stories, they're like, I want to marry for love, not because it's a, business proposal or because we have to bring these two kingdoms together. Like, I want to marry because,
this isn't arranged.
Yeah. And that was a freedom, so a man being able to win over a woman and have her make that commitment, not forced, is great.
and so the segment that I was watching, they were saying, okay, so with that being said, chivalry being something that was invented by men, if we go back and we use that logic, that men are really the ones who love romantically and women love opportunistically, but not out of like ill intent or malice, right? Like, it's not something that they do to hurt anybody else.
Right.
But
Survival.
It's survival, because women, again, in history, they didn't have a lot of rights. They weren't physically stronger than men. They couldn't protect themselves, so they had to survive and protect themselves a different way by using their feminine wiles, like their persuasiveness. I wouldn't say manipulation, their attractiveness,
their
right?
bodies, yeah, let's be
to
real,
get
yeah.
people to protect them and do things for them, right? Which is why now you see a lot more women taking advantage of that, like with things like OnlyFans and stuff like that, because they see like, oh, I can get these things. And then you see a lot of men feeling very jaded because we're starting to wake up to the fact that like, oh, while she's holding on to me, she had something else. Because at any given time, I think we've talked about this before, if a man leaves a woman, in a lot of cases, like, you could leave her penniless and like in shambles, right? So they have to have like some sort of backup. So then the segment that I was watching was asking women like, do you know, it was an engaged woman. She was like, they're asking her, do you have a backup? But she said, every woman does. Every woman has like this just in case person. And this again, not saying this is that segment, right?
Right, that was that woman.
This is knowing you now and some of the women I know in my life, like I now understand like
That's not always
it's
true.
not always the case, right? But this woman was saying like, yeah, I definitely have if this guy were to message me right now and say be with me, I would leave my fiance.
What?
And then so you see a lot of that on the internet, which kind of ruins like
That's so sad.
romance, right? So
Like, and I also don't know why, because I do see that a lot too. Women just saying the most outlandish shit in like street interviews. I'm also like, dude, like, why even be in a relationship then if that person is not like your first choice? I don't know, but again, that's just
I think they're doing it for the plot.
Right, they just
know?
want to be like problematic on screen, and
Yeah,
it's annoying.
They're doing it for the plot. They may not necessarily feel like that, but then there is also, I think, a majority. There's a group of women out there that are like that.
Yeah, no, 1,000%.
Definitely believe that. They talk about things like, oh, I'm going to charge a deposit before we go out on this date, or I have these, like we talked about last time, a list of requirements and expectations, right? Which is kind of like where the romance left me. I think, like I said before, there was a role reversal that happened in the last 10 years where, like, we're no longer, and this is a bad way to say it, but, like, men are no longer in control, right? So we don't have the chance to be romantic anymore because now you do that and it's an ick all of a sudden.
It's an ick. It's an ick.
I wanted him to talk about his feelings, but now he talks too much, you know?
Now he's being a girl about, his emotions. Like, it's an ick, right? Like,
so they were saying something along, then they went into the conversation about like, so if men and women can make love robots, right? A man he would be like, okay, here's my robot, and it's this way. I'm never going to change it, right? It's I got what I wanted. But a woman they were asking the women they were talking to, they would probably change theirs every week because, like I said, they'd be like, oh, I wanted him to talk about his feelings, now he's talking too much. Or like, oh, I wanted him to do this, now he's doing the most, But again, that is not the rule, right? There are women out there that don't. But I thought that was very interesting because, again, in my opinion, it goes back to what we're talking about with like the way the world is right now, romance not being alive. I think one of the biggest things that's happening right now in the world that is really crazy is that romance is dying because of things like that. The internet, access to so much information all the time. Somebody was saying like if we didn't have the access to like people directly all the time through the internet like we do, we'd be forced to like connect with each other in person. And a lot of people get brave on the internet and they just say whatever they want. Like you're saying, they were doing it to be divisive, right?
Yeah.
And on these street interviews, if we had to like have to go out and meet somebody and talk to them in person, I can't just swipe right or left, right? Those things wouldn't happen like they do, there would be more romance because it's like, how am I going to talk to her? I got to come up with a joke or X, Y, and Z. And now it's like, you have things like, I think the latest slang term for women that people are using is fine shit.
What?
I don't know if you've seen that.
I want to look it up.
Fine shit.
Is that on Urban Dictionary?
Yeah, look up fine.
F-I-N-E?
But spell shit with a Y. Fine shit. Or a huzz. I just heard that the other day.
Fine shite.
Someone
who is exceptionally attractive and desirable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're talking about like somebody you think is hot.
Yeah, like fine shit. Like, that's some fine shit.
Yeah. And I was like, that's great. That's it. That's crazy. Like, Not that that's bad, right? But I think the youths shouldn't be able to. You can't partake in that, right? You have to wait till you're 18, then you can be like, all right, I can go on the internet and call bitches fine shit. You know what I mean? Or say whatever. You know, forgive me, I didn't mean to call y'all bitches, but
it's okay. You did it in
a respectful way.
Yeah, I did in the most respectful way possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something I wanted to talk about today. Was like the idea of romance and where it's been going a lot lately. Because I don't know, you guys or y'all both have heard my struggles with a particular person that I have in my life that I continuously try with, that it just never works, right? So it's kind of like my idea of romance is dead because I'm like, oh, I've tried so many times, it doesn't seem to be working, you know. So I think that there was definitely a comedian said it the other day. He was like, I don't believe that love exists because you either have already experienced it or you're never going to, because there's so many people in the world. Yeah. Right? There's a select few that did already experience it. Usually those are the ones who are paired off, right? They actually have mutual respect for each other. But a lot of other people, they're never going to experience it because what they do is they find somebody and they're like, you're gonna fit the mold of what I think love is.
You enter with expectations.
And so they employ them to do that, right? And then so from going forward, they're making that person what it is that they want, but they're never really gonna be, right? Usually you see like, a couple's arguing and stuff like that, right? He said, that's why I don't believe in love, because, you either have, or the greater majority is employing other people to fit that. And I mean, I think, like we said before, with the world being the way it is, like, we're in an era of, like, isn't it, like, childbirth low, and, like, people aren't meeting people?
Oh, yeah, people actually are just choosing to not have kids.
Yeah, that's actually something that, it's funny, because I just read that, because Elon Musk on X just posted something the other day. It was showing a graph of, like population or decline, but it's like, and then, I don't know if you guys use Twitter a lot. I'm going to call it Twitter forever. I'm not going to call it X.
Yeah, I'm never going to call it X.
But, and I'm not because of anything against Elon Musk, but it's just, Twitter just makes more sense.
Sponsor us, but fuck you, Elon.
Yeah.
You can't name an app one letter. It doesn't make sense.
It's crazy because under the comments, it's like, well, what incentive do people have to have kids, right? The cost of living is insane. Right? The
cost of food is insane.
As soon as you have kids, all you're ever told is what you can and can't do with your time and your money and your family. It's like, what incentive is there for that? Right? That wasn't a problem and I guess I'm not speaking obviously from my own experience, but people on there were like, that wasn't a problem in the 70s and the 80s, and I know there was other problems going on in the world, but in terms of people having kids and families, you could buy a house
for like $20,000. You could go to college for like $5,000.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah, life was affordable. Now everything is $1 million, and like you need to have more kids. Like,
raising a kid is $1 million.
Yeah, why? For what reason, right? And that all starts with, and that also could be a side effect of, like Amelie said, people just don't want to be together anymore. People would rather just be out in these, like they say, for the streets.
I think a big part of that also is that, like, with social media and stuff, people are seeing the positives that are all around them that they don't have access to. So in their mind, they internalize that whatever they're experiencing can always be better. Whatever their relationship is can always be better. Like, he could always be getting me, instead of, a dozen roses, 500 roses, because someone on Instagram had that.
And
so they kind of seek it out, they kind of seek out that better opportunity, that better looking person, that better situation, because they're constantly seeing it, so they're never happy with what they have, like even though what they have is probably wholesome.
You see, when people have birthdays, like, girls walk into a hotel room with flowers, and there's like $5,000 worth of merchandise on a bed. And,
well, it's the same. It's the same concept as, like, for children during Christmas. It's like, don't say Santa Claus brought them the PS5, because not everybody's Santa Claus can bring their kids a PS5, right?
Exactly.
Like, mom and dad bought that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, like, they worked hard to get.
And that's something I've ingrained in my kids, because they know who the presents are from. Mm-hmm. Like, it'll say, this is from, not like when I was a kid, I thought everything was from Santa, right? I don't know at one point, but now I'm not like, no.
Yeah.
Santa didn't get you that. Santa got you this. Santa got you this. This toy set that you asked him for.
This little mini ball.
Yeah, this little, but mommy and daddy got you those clothes and that PS5.
That one thing you've been begging for.
Or the one thing
that's all us.
Yeah, that's
so like if you put, if you take the man or the woman in that situation and, like, put them in the Santa place, like, you see all that online and you're like, oh, all men should be taking me to my birthday for the flowers on the bed and like crazy steak dinner, paying for all my girlfriends.
It's funny that you see that.
Or in the reverse, like women need to be doing this, right?
Yeah,
like,
they need to be going above and beyond, you know.
So I think that
regards.
There was another thing. Oh man, we were talking about it a second ago, and it tied into how we were talking about this. Was not just that, but like the access that we have to seeing other people's bodies online.
Oh yeah,
that definitely adds to like the whole. I guess we could call it the Santa Claus paradox, right? Where it's like, oh, if you see all these women with huge titties and like, you know, their labia's trimmed, and these guys with like 9-inch penises, right?
Yeah.
That we all of a sudden think that that's the way everybody's body is supposed to be.
right.
So when you get with somebody and you see that they don't have that, you're like, oh, you know?
Yeah, I've always not been a fan of that. I don't. Yeah, the internet image is. Yeah, it's just. Well, I don't even know what's a good word for it, like eye candy. But again, like the movie conversation earlier, that's not real.
It's not real.
When you get to life, there's cellulite and stretch marks and bellies and
frizzy
hair, and
you know.
that's all okay. And you know what I mean. But again, the internet has ruined that for people, because now if you don't look like, you know, Kylie Jenner with the body of, whoever is the hot body now, then you're ugly, or you're fat, or you're undesirable, and it's disgusting. And I'm against makeup and surgeries and, you know, body, unless it's for a medical reason like breast reduction, or you're doing it because for a health reason, that's different. Or like the whole Ozempic thing that's been going on. People are doing that because they just want to lose weight and look good. It's like, go to the gym.
Right.
Yeah.
Change your ways.
You're going to make yourself sick trying to find ways around doing it the right way.
It's kind of like it's like going outside during a blizzard. Like, man, I wish it wasn't cold. When there's a warm, when you walk out of a warm house into the cold, you're like, I wish it wasn't cold, but just go back in the warm. Like,
just go back inside. Yeah.
Oh, but and it's sickening, right? People.
I think it's so hard though to not take those things into consideration though, because they're so normal now. Like you go Ozempic specifically, you see that commercial everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. The influencers have never even seen it before. They're like, oh, it's even easier for me to get my GLP peptides, whatever. You know, it's like, it's such a, but, you know, I think that's part of what, like we said before, internet being like the root of all evil is, because at the same time, like, I would hurt, and I gotta say this loosely, I would miss porn if that got rid of porn, right? But
I feel like
you said it.
The majority of people would, you know.
I wouldn't hurt. I'd miss porn if it wasn't there, because you know, everybody's got, you know, we all like a little.
We're all adults here.
We're all adults,
Right.
yeah.
Right?
But if they limited it, which I mean they have in our state,
Which they should, honestly.
but I think to an extent, right? I think
Well, it should not be. You should have the honest. I'm okay with people having to prove that they're adults to watch that.
Right.
Because any kid can just get online and just be, oh, and then whoa.
Literally,
And then-
we all did it, you know.
Yeah, right. Growing up, and it was huge in the
we've had those conversations.
early 2000s time, like when everything was just kind of like, you know, get on the internet at your own risk kind of thing.
Right.
Now it's like you can't even
Bro,
open
the
up.
second smartphones existed,
You
it
can't
was
even
like-
open up. A kid can't even open up Instagram without it being like, "Hey, do you like this girl?"
Right.
And they're like, "What? Like, what?"
dude.
And then you go into her thing. And it's like, "Oh, click on this link," and then like, they do, and it's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And the kids are 12, 13. Like, I will say on that note, I did have a family member the other day who has a young daughter. Said that somebody in her class asked her, "Is it pink?" That's like internet brain rot, TikTok type of stuff for
Literally.
me. And it's like that kind of stuff is like people are subjecting that to kids, and it's like people still support it. Like people were crying and people were begging Donald Trump to not ban TikTok. But it's like, yeah, there's a lot of good on there, but it's hugely overshadowed by the bad one.
I mean, I think this goes back to the role reversal I was talking about before, and like again, I will never say anything misogynistic that I like purposefully. Because that word, I think, is used very loosely in everyday life, but like...
What's that?
Misogyny.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think a lot of people understand what that word actually means. Like, if I say something that I'm not for or I'm against, it's not because I'm misogynistic. I don't hate women. I love women because I'm a straight male that enjoys women's bodies and their company, their companionship, right? But there are things that I think that were roles that happened with the role reversal just recently in the last 10 years that have come about that have made things like that happen more. And one of them specifically is like OnlyFans. I do believe that, women should feel empowered in their bodies, right? Like it's your body. You should be able to do what you want with it to an extent that doesn't impede in other people's lives, privately or publicly, like that, right? Because a lot of that, what you're talking about, asking about, is it pink? That comes from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's influence. I mean, you can't go anywhere on any social media site now without somebody being like showing their butthole off at the gym to advertise their OnlyFans. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they don't. It's always under the guise of like, here's my workout video. I'm working out. But it's like
tricky,
on the back end, it's like, that's not what this is for. You're doing this for another reason, right? But they're like, or it's crazy, man. And
well, one of the things that I was introduced to, and this is some of the stuff that I was looking at the other day to get like ideas for us to talk about today, was there's this concept of a bop house, which a bop house
I know,
is an OnlyFans house that women go to live in and just churn out tons of content.
And it's the same thing as like the Phase guys did.
Yeah.
They call those content houses or creator,
Content
whatever,
house.
the creator house.
Right.
Where all those Phase guys there was like a 10 room house. Every guy had their own room. They were streaming out of their own room, and then they would do content and whatever throughout. Like Tyson out in them.
I wouldn't doubt that in a lot of cases it's men who own these houses that are bringing these women.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But it's also the women that encourage the other women to come into these houses. To where I saw one that somebody was talking about where they're like, look at these two girls in this house. They're 17 and they're being groomed by the adults in the house so they can start putting out content once they hit 18.
They turn 18.
And that's like
Crazy.
a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
That's a nightmare. I think that comes along the lines of what we're talking about with like unchecked, like
access to
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to say pornography because I think there is a sensible way to do it.
Yeah.
I think you should be able to explore your sexuality however you see fit.
A normal thing.
But it also shouldn't be this accessible. There should be like some guidelines. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
who can interact and be a part of this content. And I'm not saying that women being empowered with their bodies is like the root cause of this, but I think that has something to do with it. Like there's been an overcorrection, right? Where like we've gone so far in one direction to like with the idea that women don't have control over their bodies that we've like overcorrected and now we're like, oh, we have so much control now that we can do whatever we want.
I'll tell you what it is though, is that I think it all comes down to the money, man. These women are making hundreds of thousands of dollars soon as they turn 18. Like think about remember that girl Bad Baby, the one who went famous on Dr. Phil. She is a good example of that, right? Like you're saying, 17 years old into 18. She waited until when she was 17 years old. The night that she turned 18, she dropped the link. She made $1 million in.
That's crazy.
I can't even tell you. Maybe it's like a day or whatever. Like instantly millionaire just because she turned 18. And look, and you know what I mean? Like
that's craziness.
If I was a girl and if I was, in that scenario and I was like,
I'd be in a bop house too.
I would be, I'd be out there too. Spreading for the whole world to see because I could then afford whatever lifestyle I want.
Right. Like you don't have to do like we're over here struggling, working full time, like hoping that we can have even a moment of our day to do our passion.
And these girls,
they literally make more money than I've made working 7 years.
In 1 month.
Literally.
Just from taking their clothes off. It can cover 10 years of us. You know what I mean?
But you perpetuate the things that we're talking about that we don't want. Is like these young women, like you're talking about with your friend, being exposed to something like that. And even young men being exposed to something like that. Because the earlier they're exposed to something like that, the more likely they are to think like this is the way it works and this is the way you should treat women.
Right.
I challenge you to go talk to a group of 11, 12-year-olds nowadays and see what kind of conversation you're going to have about the content they watch online.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like back in the day when when I was a kid and I saw it for the first time, I was like, whoa, like, I kind of got scared. But nowadays, nowadays they can open up, you can, as a child, open up an Instagram, say you're 13 and still get suggested videos of women twerking, women who have OnlyFans. It's insane. It's like, this is where the world's going. I mean, this is where...
It's everywhere.
This is what the internet has become. And this is, good or bad, whatever you want to call it. This is what it is.
And again, like I said, I don't want to come off as like biased toward or against any type of like, sex work or pornography or anything like that.
That's not what it's about.
Yeah, I think it's more just about like, we all just need to be more conscious of like how this is affecting like everybody. Because she's like more anti-feminist than anything that I watch because, not that I engage with that content because it's just more of like, I want to have a perspective on both sides.
Right.
But she was saying like, I think what people fail to realize when we overcorrect and we start to make arguments for something as opposed to like against it, she's like, no one's built the same. Like everybody is different. So you can't say that like, because it doesn't affect you, it's not affecting this other person. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of the arguments that are made are for the people who it doesn't affect. It's like, well, I'm still okay and it doesn't bother me and it's not ruining my life. Yeah. But John and Samantha over here are holed up in their bedrooms engaging with this content constantly because they're addicted. You know what I mean? But nobody thinks about that because it's like, well, why should I care? But it's like, but that isn't that like, that's part of it, right? I think that's part of what we're losing, the humanity of it all. Is like, we're not thinking about the people who are being affected by this negatively.
It's all about, I still think it all comes down to the money, man.
It's the money, yeah.
It all comes down to the money and, being able to live another day, right? You're literally born into survival mode.
I agree because
you have to do whatever it takes. If I today, as a 32-year-old man, could go and make an OnlyFans and take my shirt off and pay my bills, this is what I'd be doing instead of this podcast.
But I don't think anybody wants to see that. So
but it doesn't matter. If it was a possibility, if just for some reason that was the case, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. I'd be doing something else. Right?
But I mean, I think a podcast is good. It's not. It's we're offering a point of view that I don't think a lot of people would see. I think we're trying to be more on like the chaotic neutral side than anything, right? Like we're not against it, but we're not necessarily for it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, yeah, if I knew that people wanted to see my butthole and my feet, that'd be all over the internet right now. All I have to do is put a mask on and nobody would know it was me.
Yeah, right. Because some girls who are millionaires have never shown their face. It's crazy. Like what's that? I don't know that podcast that the guy's always talking to the girls. And they're always calling out girls for saying stupid stuff. But one of the girls was like, "Yeah, my friend has made $1 million. And she's never shown her face, and she has a husband and kids, but she's never shown her face. But her body from her neck down has made her $1 million. It's like, and then then on the other side of things, people are like, you're going to get on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. And people are going to be like, she's this and that. But it's like, she's also 100 times richer than you.
Right.
I'm not going to knock anybody's hustle, but...
I don't think it's the work
She's driving around in a Lamborghini.
Yeah, I don't think it's the work itself that's the problem. I don't think it's them, investing in it. I think it should be one of those things like any other adult thing. Like, for example... In the world, we have regular sections and then we have smoking sections because we know that that's not a thing for kids. You go over there, you separate yourself. And I think that the internet has just given up on putting any kind of censorship or any kind of like barriers on that because it can just be posted anywhere and it's rarely vetted. And that's why it's exposed to people at such a young age or exposed to so widely to so many people because it's so accessible in places that it should not be.
I think too, people also have the argument about like your freedoms and your freedom of speech, like what you can and can't do on the internet. Like it should be up to me to be able to do this. But I think that like you said before, yes, you can say and do whatever you want out there, right?
Yeah.
But there needs to be a barrier for someone under the age of 18 to be able to access that kind of content.
Yeah, it needs
to be. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't need to be a paywall. It needs to be like, hey, you've got to show us.
Like a verification, like something like you can't just... anybody can just put $15 into a PayPal. I'm like, oh, I'm 18, right? Like I did when I was a kid.
Kids. A lot of people do that. A lot of people like.
I'm 18 and my name is this and this. And, they're not asking for IDs, but you can drop money in and you can take it out. And
yeah, but it's also about having those hard conversations with your kids. Like I know it's uncomfortable, and no one ever wants to have that kind of conversation with their child, much less the child with their parent. But at the end of the day, that's what's going to keep them safe. That's what's going to snap them back to reality and teach them that, like, I know you have free access to see the cosmos at your fingertips, but...
You don't need to see everything.
Yeah, like, there are things that can be left unseen for your sanity,
Like the other day, not to name many names, but nobody's gonna know who we're talking about
just
unless
last
they listen to
names.
it. I don't know how to say his last name.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, somebody was.
We can just bleep it.
I mean, we'll just. Nobody's gonna look. No,
Yeah. I like that though.
Yeah, I like bleeping. Bleeping
kinda
is
like
so
that.
fun.
We'll bleep him out. We'll
A
bleep him
little
out.
beep.
So, right, somebody was introducing him to Two Girls, One Cup the other day.
Oh my gosh,
He'd
yes.
never seen it, and I was like, don't do that.
Yeah,
he doesn't
don't do
need
that.
he doesn't need to see that. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
and he's one of the most like innocent, genuine people that we know. Always happy.
Yeah.
it was like you were talking about the other day when you were introducing to the Human Centipede. And we're
Oh
talking
my
about the movie
gosh.
that shall not be named.
Right.
And you were like, I'm not going to say the name because you don't even need to see it. Like,
Yeah,
Still haven't told me the movie.
I wanted
but, like, I'm okay
to
with that.
tell you the name of it.
we have told you the name. We have last
It's
time.
probably got lost
Was
in
it like
sauce.
But it's good.
something with green?
It's good.
Or
That
was that the cannibal?
that's a good
That
one.
was the Green
Green
Inferno, and that was good. That's a good
That
one.
one was good.
That one wasn't that bad.
No, that one's not good.
This other one we probably get put on a list if you watch it.
Yeah, you probably
Yeah.
you probably would have people knocking on your door and asking like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, what are you doing? So, but there's stuff like that. Like, I respect like the sake of for the sake of the art that stuff exists, but
Right.
at the same time, it's like we should have checks and balances in place for people who can access that.
Not to open up a whole other can of worms, but that low key to me, from my perspective as a parent, that starts with the parents. Your kid will only ever be what you allow them to be.
Yeah.
And they will only ever see what you allow them to see.
Yeah.
And they will only ever know, so on and so forth. Because my kids still are almost, to the unknown of the cosmos. They only know kind of what's in these
Yeah,
walls,
I
right?
think you remember talking about that with the kids' YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, I won't even. They can only play with their tablets on the weekends.
That's
I have
smart.
a folder for my sister when she
Yeah.
uses
And
my
then
phone.
even when I let them play games on my phone, there's an iPhone has the accessibility feature where you can lock it so they can't even leave the app.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, you want to play this game? Okay, that's all you're gonna do is play this game.
That's smart parenting.
You can't even open it up. It is very smart parenting because I have been around people and I have been around people's kids who, for hours, haven't even taken their eyes off the tablet. Or if
Yeah.
you take the tablet from them on a Monday, they throw a tantrum. Or
And that's lazy parenting,
I mean, I don't want
because
to
you don't want
whatever you want.
you don't want because I think what it is like, I mean, you've expressed like, your girls are very engaging with you, right? And you're like, sometimes you're tired, but it's like that is the price you pay as a good parent. They're gonna be if they're not on a tablet, what are they gonna do? You're gonna find something for them to do. You're gonna entertain them somehow, or you're gonna be directly involved with them. You know what I mean?
And that's why I love school that's why I love that my youngest loves school so much because she just engages in that so much. She absorbs it. Now, she's only a year older, but on the spectrum, she has a little bit different mindset and different things. But like you're saying, yeah, it is. You have to pick your poison kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I would much rather my daughter be in my ear asking me a million questions about everything, as opposed to me not knowing what she has questions about,
right?
And what is in her brain.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they look at that and they're like, well, you're not being your kid's friend when you do things. But it's like, but I don't think that's the point. No, you should
never be your kid's friend.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be.
I'm anti being your kid's friend.
Yeah, that's why I've always been very big about like, if I were to have children, maybe I'd be a little bit softer on my girl, but the little boy, I think just because little girls mature faster, they're going to understand better, right? Little boys, you can steer them in the wrong direction very easily. And I think that they have more at stake that they're directly going to be able to influence, because you hear of a lot of little boys. Like there was just some kid the other day that stabbed another kid at a track meet, right?
That's crazy,
like
dude.
those types of things happen because little boys, like their aggression and their whatever goes unchecked. But little girls, they're not fueled by testosterone, so like that sort of thing doesn't show up as much. You know what I mean? But the little boy, I'd probably be really hard on him. I'd be like, "You're getting grounded like 9 out of 10 times every time you do something because I need to make sure you don't go out there and murder somebody and wind up in jail." You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Little girls, you just gotta teach them like, hey, you gotta make sure that you respect your body because like,
respect yourself.
Respect yourself.
One of my favorite things is when, like, I heard this thing and it was like, the best way to make sure that your kid doesn't, get victimized is by giving them the highest level of self-esteem possible, because then they will never, they will firstly understand that what that person is asking of them is not appropriate, but also they will have the self-worth to never subject themselves to that, even if it is someone, say, a partner that they're pursuing that makes them feel like they have to act a certain way in order to earn love. They're like, no, this is not how it should be, And I love that idea.
Yeah, I think that's a good way. I mean, I don't have kids, so like I can't can't really like speak too much about it, but that sounds like a good option, especially when because I think it teaches them, like we said, to love themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're not going to they're like, why would I do that? Because that makes me feel like I don't love myself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Or why would I be around these people?
And I feel like
'Cause it
that
makes
works
me
for
feel that
boys
way.
and girls, you know, because boys will go out there like, you know, with their heart on their chest, get their heart broken, and then just
Never want to show
turn into a demon, you
Yeah.
know? And like,
Never want to engage
emotions
emotionally
are
with
hard.
anybody
I
ever.
get it, but I think that by doing that and also like teaching them, it's not always going to be in your favor. Like life is not always going to go how you want it to go, and you just take it with a grain of salt.
I mean, I was definitely feeling that the other day. This is more of like a me thing,
That's
but
okay.
like I don't, don't mean to be all weird and depressing, but I think we went off like on this tangent of like romance and then how it's being ruined and the emotions that come with like modern society and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But like to your point about like how emotions are tough to deal with, I think that I think right now, even more than ever, we're in a time where everybody's like very isolated. I think like there's a lot of even women back in the day. Like I used to remember like hearing my aunts and my cousins and everybody talk about like how women band together. I don't think that is even very much so anymore these days.
Not as much as it should be, that's for sure.
Because like the other day, yesterday actually, I was hanging out here and I was doing my thing, and my homie who passed away came up, and I was like, oh, all these emotions happened. I was like, I have nobody to talk to. I was like, I couldn't, like, if I were to, because you think about it, like, if I were to, I probably could have messaged one of y'all and be like, yo, I really miss my friend.
Right.
And it would have been like out of left field, kind of would have been
you
weird.
can always do that though.
But you know what I
Going
mean?
forward,
Like
I
when that kind of stuff comes up, I think, and maybe I'm speaking more from the guy's perspective. Like I was like, I don't have anybody to talk to, because anybody that I reach out to is gonna be like, I don't fucking care. Like, okay, man, sorry,
Right.
like what, but it's not like I needed to talk about it to the point to where I messaged somebody that I was just like, hey, I don't want to talk about this, but I just needed to say this because it's like I feel like it's a pimple I need to pop. Like,
right, get it out.
I miss my friend, blah blah blah. And so that, to your point, like emotions are hard to deal with. I think even more than ever, like we're at a place where like people are just not. We're just not like
social anymore.
open with each other.
That's so sad.
Like this. Like I feel like at work, although we have a little bit of and it just in our friendship, I can't even say it's like a work friendship anymore. Like our friendship,
Right.
if we were to come to each other and say something, like there's a bit of judgment, but it's always like with a grain of salt. Like it's never like overly judgmental where we come to each other about something that it's like, that's stupid. It's like, hey, this is how I feel about it, but I get it,
Right. It's like judgment because I want the best for you,
'Cause I
not
care.
judgment
Yeah.
because I am looking down on you.
Right.
It's never
exactly.
that.
So I think that is something that people stray away from because they don't want to be judged. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's
Nah, sometimes you need to be. Honestly, as a Virgo,
Yeah.
sometimes you need to be judged.
I think shame and judgment are very important they're very important tools in growing as a person. Because there's a lot of people out there that go unchecked or look themselves in the mirror and they're like, I'm the perfect person.
No.
But they're not.
You're crazy.
Like, there is a person who I feel that way about in our workplace specifically, a woman. And I'm like, that woman, we'll call them Ruth. But she enjoys extracurricular activities outside of work, like the bar and things like that.
Yeah.
And I see that person as a person who looks themselves in the mirror, which I understand they've experienced a lot of personal trauma, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But I see that they look at themselves in the mirror like I'm the greatest. And I see that, and I see somebody who's not.
What are you talking about? Type it. Can you type it? Just type it right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, what?
Well, I definitely do. I feel like people are multifaceted, Like, I think she, in one way, sees herself as, like, I don't understand why people don't like me. And she said this multiple times, like, why am I single? Like, why this? Why that? But I think there's another part of her that's more internalized that is very insecure, that very much needs that validation from the outside.
So when I see that, and I guess because I was fortunate and unfortunate enough to have been in a position where I had to. That's what I made them for. Toaster strudels, sponsor us.
Don't worry.
Hey,
Don't
please,
worry. I'm not making any noise. Continue.
Anyway, when I was fortunate, unfortunate, I will say fortunate. I've been in positions in my life that were very tumultuous. That like it afforded me the luxury of having to have some sort of like self-reflection and realization, which I'm not perfect. I say and do things all the time that offend other people or that may not necessarily be on the level for the most part. I'm not the best person, but I always like to think of myself as a work in constant progress. I'll never do something and then not go look at myself in the mirror and be like, was that the right decision?
Right.
You know
like,
what I mean?
how do I feel about that? Let me look back on it now.
And I think that there's a large majority of people, and maybe I'm wrong for putting her in this category. You know, I've put her in a box that maybe she's not a part of, but like, they don't do that. Like, they don't go look themselves in the mirror.
They don't self-reflect.
They don't
recognize maybe why is this happening to me? You know, not that this happened and it sucks, but like, what led to it?
Right. They just think that because of who I think I am, other people should like me.
Yeah.
Which I think that is a good, like, self-love thing, you know? You should always have that love for yourself. Or, like, I love myself, so I want other people to love me. But at the same time, like you said before, there needs to be a little bit of a self-actualization where you're like, is there something I'm doing? You know? That is a tough pill to swallow. Nobody ever wants to sit down and be like, I have a problem, you know? But I think it's very important to do. I think it's what keeps you from being a psychopath, you know, a narcissist or a sociopath. Like, you look at yourself, you're like, I'm flawed, you know,
right.
I'm not the best person, you know. I will be the first person to tell people, like, when they're like, oh, you think so highly of yourself. Like, no, actually, I fucking hate myself. Like, I hate everything that I am and everything that I've become. But there are some things I do love about myself.
Right.
You know?
I was going to say, I feel that, but also, like, I think you can do both. I think you can, like you said, constantly be a work in progress, constantly call out the things that you need to do better on, that you should have been more dedicated to, you know, put a little bit more effort into yourself. But you can also, on the other leaf, be like, despite all of that, I love myself and I'm going to keep working, because loving yourself is putting that effort in and continuing to work in progress.
Because in the end, I'm all I have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
At the end of the day,
I can hate and love myself.
Do I hurt my own feelings? A lot of the time, absolutely. I sit there and I'm like, I just made myself cry. Else. Yeah, but better me than anybody else. Exactly.
Exactly, right? I'm all I have, so I'm going to protect my peace.
So we kind of went off on that. We really did. I feel like we have a lot of things going on outside people aren't seeing, you know.
Yeah.
I know, you know, we had a hard stopping time. I don't know what y'all's schedule is. I'm good right now.
I'm kind of on this schedule here, so
yeah,
I'm good.
Brought him. I was just like, whenever he's ready, he has
No. I'm not saying like let's call it or anything like that. I'm saying I've got time. I got about another hour and a half, 2 hours.
I don't have that much time.
But I'm just saying we are 1 hour and 48 minutes in.
Okay, we can get another.
We went in on a tangent.
15, 20.
Yeah, we could keep going.
We should take a lighter side to things and maybe
we went a little heavy this time.
I thought we were going to talk more about Quinceañeras. Like, we cut it off so quick.
I think.
I mean, that's fine. Because we got into some good conversation, which not a bad thing.
We were flowing.
We were flowing. I think that's the point of this. Is a free form conversation and podcast. You just never know what's going to happen.
We can't go back to that. Right?
It's one of the things that I like about free form content like this, kind of like with John Mulaney. John Mulaney, sponsor us with his show.
Bring us on your talk show.
Bring us on your talk show. Yeah, when he calls people, you just never know where that's gonna go.
Right.
Yeah, they go some places. You know, I think I heard him talk to a kid one time. And I'm like, who would have thought that was going to happen? You know?
Right.
So that's what I like about this is like, you never know where it's going to go.
Did you see that he was saying in the last episode, he's going to fight 3 14-year-olds?
No, I have not seen the last episode.
That's the plan for the final episode.
That is cool.
And they are, they in the last episode just released or showed what his first competitor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was a 14-year-old.
Are you going to fight them all back to back, or?
I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go 3v1 or if it's like back to back to back. I mean, we're going to
round robin style
3-minute rounds. What's going on here?
Okay, that's interesting. That is another question I've been seeing on the internet a lot, and I don't know where the question comes from, but it's like 100 men versus a gorilla.
I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now where it started. Some guy had just tweeted one day. It was like, you know what? To be honest, I think 100 guys can beat up a gorilla. And then somebody quoted it and was like, what? And then snowball across.
So y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yes, yeah. It's a huge thing. It was a tweet that went viral about somebody was like, you know, I think people can beat up a gorilla. You want to dive into that? Because
I don't know that 100 guys could beat up.
I've talked to our buddy C at work about this a couple times. Our buddy Neil Stunna.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, like, those first 15 to 20 guys are going to meet God. You know?
Yeah. They're gonna get their faces ripped off, probably.
Right. I mean, you have to tire him out.
It will be written in the history books when he does those first 15, 20 guys. Once he starts getting tired, then you can start, you know what I mean?
You start going in, yeah.
That still leaves 80 people.
Go for the eyes first.
Yeah, try to incapacitate.
I think, sheer amount, volume of people, they would overwhelm the gorilla.
Right.
But that's not to say that gorilla won't go out without a fight.
Right.
It's like one of those.
He's gonna take some arms off. It's okay.
Those first 15, 20 guys, we're gonna eat that gorilla again in heaven. Like, how'd it go? How many more did you get?
I think 75% of the 100 people will probably get maimed. I think that the gorilla, you got to think about, like, okay, we're talking about men strictly, okay?
Okay.
We're talking about that strictly. Like, the stuff we eat,
what if it was like 100 Black Widows from Marvel?
I guess we got to define, like, there has to be definitions to the 100 people. Is it people?
Right.
Is it men?
Is it, like, military agents?
Yeah, is it military
civilians?
Yeah. Are they athletic? Are they just regular?
It could be any guy. It never specific.
So average Joe.
Now, average Joe, they're probably not making it through.
Yeah.
You're gonna have
110.
Yeah, 100.
In an hour.
That might be one of the worst tragedies in human history. Just 100 average Joe schmoes. Yeah.
I don't know why somebody has an AI that already. Have you ever seen?
No, they have. People have
They
AI.
were saying it.
People have AI'd some stuff. Yeah. But there's also a list out there of people that you would need to fight the gorilla, and I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna read off some of the names.
You're talking about, like, The Rock and, like, Captain America.
People idea you'd want.
I think I would want The Rock. I would want The Rock for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like The Rock is bigger than a gorilla. You know, he's a big man.
So okay, I have the first 25 here, and a lot of these are probably gonna be for comedic effect. But the first one is John Jones, understandably.
Okay.
The second one is Aaron Donald.
Okay.
The third one is Alex Pereira, who's also, but in parentheses says he's in charge of the walkout for the gorilla fight.
Okay. I guess.
And this isn't any specific order. Number 4 is Ray Lewis, who's the captain of the whole thing and gives the pregame speech.
Okay.
Oh, love that.
Number 5 is Chris Hemsworth.
Okay.
There's no parentheses on that, but I would say in Thor gear would make sense. Sylvester Stallone is prime. David Goggins gives the halftime speech to the remaining survivors.
Is this rounds? What's going on?
No, this is just 100.
It's halftime when 50 people die?
Maybe. We could make that.
Okay, yeah, I guess that. Are there rounds?
Then we have The Rock. Okay, we'll give first half, second half. Then we have The Rock, Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
I don't know what Triple G is.
Number 10 is my dad, in parentheses, when he was mad for me handing him the wrong screwdriver. Okay.
Oh, my God.
Number 11 is Steve.
That's a good one.
Ranella. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
Let's get a quick Google on that. And then number 11 is
last name?
Mirinella.
What the?
He's an American outdoorsman.
Ranella. I think he's
on Meat Eater.
Oh, he's that guy. He's the guy who does the hunting.
He's on there.
Oh my God, yeah, I love this guy.
Saquon Barkley and Derek Henry are the next.
He's the one that's gonna get the eyes.
That's a man. That's a man right there. Steve Ranella. Steve, hey, bring us on your show. We would love to eat anything that you catch.
Anything. I don't care what it is. Number 14 is The Undertaker, but he has to be the last guy to enter the ring.
Okay.
Royal Rumble style. Number 15, this is only going to make sense if you know context. John Morant, who's going to be in charge of the celebration after we win.
That's
Number 16 is 50 Cent before he got shot.
But none of these people are fighting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really, it's just The Rock.
Number 17 is any high school defensive coordinator or history teacher.
Okay.
Number 18 is Reuben Foster, who's an NFL player. Number 19 is Nikola Jokic's brother. I don't even know if you know who Nikola Jokic is. He's a big dude.
I know.
His brother towers him.
I've never seen Jokic's brother.
Yeah, he has to be there. Khabib is on the list.
Good shit.
Number 21, Turtle Man. I don't know who that is.
Turtle.
Or what that context could be.
Is that from the?
It's not the little kid, right?
Search up his brother.
Oh my goodness, no. Yeah, Call of the Wild Man. His name's Turtle Man, and he's got no teeth.
What?
Yeah, just search up brother.
Are you looking up Turtle Man?
6'8".
No, she's looking up Nikola Jokic's brother.
Okay, here's Turtle Man.
I'm not, but it's more so his size. Just search up his. Click on images if you can.
I sent you Turtle Man in the Degenerates.
Okay, so we're gonna finish off these 25. Number 22 is Tom Hardy.
Just for
Number 23.
Vibes.
Number 23 is Kris Jenner, but just as bait.
That's
I don't make the rules, man. Number 24 is Jason Momoa. I love that.
Good follow.
I hope he survives. Number 25 is Zion Williamson.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's just 25.
That's just 25.
That's just
But there's a list of 100.
Yeah.
There is a list.
There is a list of 100, but think about some of those first 25 names, right? You're looking at
A lot of that is hype. A lot of that is pre-game, post-game.
Size, yeah.
yeah, but a lot of that is like, we're gonna need Ray Lewis
Yeah,
to hype us up.
yeah, I'm gonna say a lot of that is like, hey, we're getting the
It's not just
that's
about
morale
hands.
building.
It's not just about hands.
Yeah, it's about the morale. Okay, so
There's some other ones. There's some other ones I've seen. Some good ones like Draymond Green in the finals.
okay,
Tribal Chief version of Roman Reigns. Solange when she's mad at Jay-Z.
that's stupid.
Put Solange in an elevator with that gorilla. It's over.
The Fight DVD version of Kimbo Slice.
Okay, I can see
You know
that.
what I mean? White people after their hockey team loses.
Oh no.
That's
Muhammad Ali from any point between 64 and 67.
okay.
Cool.
I'll take that.
Anybody from the 1985 Bears defense.
Not Tyson in his peak.
He probably is.
Anybody from the LAPD.
That's just anybody. So we get all. So they're just one person from LAPD.
Yeah, anybody from LAPD, anybody from the Bears defense, right? Because we had like 100 different. Yeah. There's been some good ones, man. You know what I mean? I don't.
So I didn't know that that's where that came from. Okay, so that is that's I've been seeing that everywhere. Like 100 men versus a gorilla.
Another one, you have to have context for this, is Dave Blunt's, but you have to throw him at the gorilla. I don't know if you know who that is, but it's a big guy, bigger dude.
Let me see.
Dave Blunt's.
Oh my god.
Oh,
This guy,
no.
you throw him at the gorilla.
Catapult him.
Jesus Christ.
It says this person could solo, but young Sheldon, he doesn't even need 99 helpets.
Yeah, no, he got it.
Young Sheldon that's diabolical.
Any random guy who's willing to spot you at the gym, he's gotta be in there.
That's stupid.
Yeah, but you see where we're getting at here, right?
Okay. Okay. All right. That's
I think at this point
that is good internet content.
Yeah,
that is good internet.
This is
content.
what it should be used for.
Right.
Stuff like this, right? To spark conversation about stuff like this. But there's also
There's
the dark side. There's a dark side of the moon.
Yeah. So like another good example of like I think top tier, and we've been talking about this a little bit lately, is Marcus the Worm.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I'm gonna need context. I saw the videos. I still don't understand context, but it is funny.
So that's one of the things I'm going to bring up. The other thing I want to bring up, I think, is a little more funnier. I guess it's more just a conversation piece. But Marcus the Worm is like VR chat is a game you can play.
Yeah.
And it's just a bunch of virtual reality chat rooms, instances.
And you can just go in there.
You just pop in and like maybe you pop into one and it's like a furry bar, and you have to be a furry and of a certain age to get in. And it's a bar and they do furry things in there, or like maybe you're like at a campsite, and it's like you guys are role playing like the things that you're doing, whether it's camping or drinking at a bar. So and people, they take these things seriously, like the role playing aspect. Like
That's always been so crazy to me. Like, I can't imagine being in a room with like a VR, because I've seen ones where they're like feeding each other up, and I'm like, what do you just like lay on the ground and like pretend like you're getting hit?
They have I've seen some of they call them VTubers.
Yeah.
And they have entire rooms dedicated so they can walk around and jump around, somersault and everything, and do whatever they're doing. But anyway, like I said, some of them take it so seriously where like they'll have like shifts for jobs that they have to work in VR chat. Like maybe they work at a restaurant and they're like a server, and they're serving from 5 to 10, and they have to show up and actually serve.
And they serve other VR people who are in sitting down at the restaurant.
And I think that there's like donations made to that instance, and then they get paid out. Like I might be incorrect, but from what I understand, that's
tip them.
Yeah, that's like the concept of
There's
VR.
a way to monetize it.
Yeah, that's the concept of VR chat. And Marcus the Worm started with a VTuber named Rafflegator, and Rafflegator just kind of did his own content, and then Marcus the Worm kind of spawned in his like instances, and it's just a worm You might want to pull it up, show him. But it's just,
I've seen. I watched the videos.
We're looking.
It inherently made me laugh when I was watching.
We're trying to understand
why it's funny.
So we've been trying to decipher like who is Marcus the Worm. We think that Marcus the Worm is crowd controlled.
Yeah.
So like it's an audience
That's
watching
him
through like Twitch or something, and they're using prompts
Something to
have him say and do things.
Yeah.
And he just does and says what they tell him to do. But again, we don't know. Did you need to plug that in?
No, it's plugged in.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm trying to load a video of Marcus, and it's not loading.
But we don't know. But Marcus, that's
I would just go into YouTube, honestly.
that's peak content right now, I think, on the internet, because it's wholesome in a way.
Yeah. He's never over here like cussing people out or
Doing crazy stuff, right?
Yeah, doing anything
He's
like
really
that.
just trying to find Walgreens and redeem his 25% off Campbell's chicken
And
soup.
it's funny because I've seen him say a lot of funny stuff, and it's like,
Or he's chasing down the cartel, the Mexican
but to
cartel.
be honest with you, with no context, I think it's funnier if
Yeah.
you have context because
So VR chat, that's always been something that I thought was real funny.
I like how his feet are tiny.
Yeah. Marcus is a good one. If you haven't seen him, check it out. Marcus the Worm, Rafflegator. Shout out to you guys. Good content. But another wholesome internet content that I was looking at the other day, because I really wanted to find something that was like not so divisive that we could talk about, was like people and their pets' names and how they came up with like the crazy pet name.
Oh, I actually have something to say about that.
So the example that was given was the lady was talking about somebody sent in a submission. They're like, okay, yeah, we have a dog and we call it Ravioli. And then as time went on, we shortened it to Ravi. And then as time went on, we shortened it to Rav. Then we turned it into RAV4. Then we turned it to Toyota RAV4.
Yeah.
And now it's Toyota Summer Sales Event.
No.
That's what they call the dog. That's what they call their dog. So
From
like
ravioli.
from Ravioli to Toyota Barn or Toyota Summer Sales Event, right? Because Toyota RAV4, right? I thought that was pretty... That was pretty funny. I don't know.
see, that's good content. Puts a smile on your face, like
That's the kind of stuff we need. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we need. I don't have anything for Montana, but you did have something.
Yeah, so I remember I took a class one time, and in the class they were talking about how it's a lot more common in like the United States for people to name their animals people names. And that's not really common in South and Central America. Like over there, they'll name their dogs after objects or foods or things like that, where it's like, you don't give it a person name because it's not a person.
Like Taco,
they don't name their dog like Fernando, They're over there, yeah, they'll call them like something else, like Estrella or something.
People
like
here,
objects.
come here, James, or
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Come here, Richard, and it's like, dude, that's a dog,
that's a dog.
And so I think I've always thought that that's really interesting, and I've always leaned more like naming animals. I love when people name animals references to something that they love. Like, for example, my aunt, her dog's name is Zuko, and it's from
Avatar.
Yes, of course, and so
Prince Zuko.
but we call him Zucchini. And sometimes we call him zucchini fettuccine. And it just kind of goes,
Yeah, that's so she didn't. Montana doesn't have one. She does have a nickname. I call her Montani, but that was because a child once saw her and was like Montana, and she was like, "Oh, Montani," and I was like, "That's cool. We're gonna call you that from now on."
Montaniana.
Yeah, so Montani, but she's just Montana.
Monty.
I don't even really like Montana. I know that I do have another. So eventually, I mean, let's just be real. The real about pets is like they're gonna die. Montana's old.
Stop! You're breaking my heart.
Yeah, she's gonna.
Our dogs are the same age. Don't tell me that.
So I mean, she's healthy. No lumps or anything, so she's gonna be here for a while.
Good.
But when she does go, I already have it. Because I'm gonna need another pet. I can't just.
Yeah, you're gonna be devastated.
Sit here,
Empty
yeah.
nest,
So I want to get a Chihuahua and name him Ignacio, but we call him Nacho.
I love that. I used to
Yeah.
have a neighbor named Nacho. His name was
I love
Ignacio.
that.
But when we take him to the vet, they'll be like Ignacio Luna, and be like, his name's Nacho. It's in parentheses,
Right.
Nacho, right? But I think that would be great. Just a big, like a little tiny, like tough Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Like I want him to be tough. I want him to have a voice. I think those are the cuter Chihuahuas, but not too annoying.
I do like Chihuahuas who have big names like Tank.
Oh my gosh, bully.
Yeah,
And then-
Bear, and it's just like a
They
little.
have
you can hold it in
big
one
collars,
and you
right?
can like just put him in your hand. You're like, oh,
hand. Like studded.
Yeah, studded, spiked, big collars.
Yeah.
Have you seen those things that they put on small dogs so that way hawks don't take them away?
No.
So they
Let
have
me
like an
see.
apparatus that they wear that has like all these spots. So when you take them out, like if you live in the country and then you take your dog out to go to the bathroom,
you let him run free.
you let them run free. You put these like apparatuses on them to prevent birds of prey from stealing your animal.
Oh, they're like spiky.
Yeah, it's
Is
like
it this?
spikes. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's got a lot of like spines on it, and it's like
It looks like a
colorful.
porcupine kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Or that. I like
yeah.
that one. That one's
This one
fashionable.
was-
Yeah. It's more that one.
I would probably go.
Oh, your laptop is touchscreen. That's
Yeah, it
crazy.
is.
Yeah, mine is too. I forgot it.
Yeah, but it's not here. so
Apple,
I'm
what are you
talking
doing?
Okay.
What are you
I want to.
There, that is so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him. That looks like Jenna Marbles' dog.
Who's
Jenna Marbles?
Content creator. She's a
Oh my gosh, she was like the YouTube queen.
like blonde hair, blue eyes, right?
Yes,
Girl? Yeah.
was that the one that got in trouble for grooming somebody?
No.
No, I don't think so.
There was one girl.
No, that was the girl with the lipstick.
I think. Oh, that's the girl from that show that she's always making those weird faces.
yeah,
right?
no. Jenna Marbles.
She has
Jenna
I think she has a
Marbles.
movie. She has a show or movie with that guy that you like. From oh my god, what is it?
Oh, I know who this is. I know Jenna Marbles.
I love her, but that's another example. Her dog's name is Marbles.
Because does she like marbles?
Her other dog's name is Hermit.
Her last name is Marbles.
Yeah,
That's
her
content
name is like
name.
it's like something that sounds like marbles,
But
but
they just call
since
her
it was so
that.
close, she made that her YouTube name.
So, speaking of creators,
Yeah.
one of the ones that I think I really I don't want to bite off the same. I think I put in a slip twice. That's crazy.
Anyways.
Anyway, I don't want to bite off someone else's like stuff, but somebody who I really like a lot, and they do something that I think is really cool that we should probably maybe emulate in a way, not exactly like they do it, but like as a conversation. Obviously, conspiracy theories are fun to talk about, but
Yeah.
Papa Meat, I like how he takes a topic and he breaks it down. Like, have you heard about this? And he like
Yeah.
goes in depth about the specific things, and he's like making fun of the stuff as he did one about swingers, did one about insane asylums, right?
I love that.
And I think that would be fun to do. Like, we could come up with a topic. I don't necessarily want everything to be about a topic.
So you bring one next time. We'll bring one and we'll have a little.
We could do a
10-minute
little-
breakdown.
yeah,
I
breakdown of
actually
something.
had a couple ideas for what I want to do.
Yeah,
this
and
time.
this- I
But we'll
think-
talk about it.
No. We can do that. I think that's okay to do in our free form
Like
format.
segments, a little
Yeah,
bit of.
yeah.
Because it's like the realism of like, hey, how does
Yeah.
this work? I think a lot of the people want to see online too is like, how did they make it work? How did they do that? Like the brainstorming behind it, like the actual like brick and mortar, how they built that, because I like to see when people are making a small business on YouTube and it's like, oh, how did you do that? Like, where did you get the spreadsheet from? Where'd you do this or X, Y, and Z, because some people are too scared to like take the leap themselves. Like maybe
Right.
we influence somebody, but like, well, I like the way on a recorded line did that, so I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah, I kind of. Yeah,
One day.
Yeah, I'll get into rabbit holes too. Like the one rabbit hole I got into for hours one time on YouTube was Ants Canada.
Yes.
He built like a huge
The fuck?
like he built like a huge terrarium in his house,
Yeah.
and he just puts random bugs, and he's like, I'm gonna follow this journey. Of
Let's
this
see what
guy.
this
Dude,
bugs
I've
do.
always wanted
Yeah.
a little like terrarium.
Yeah.
Fully sealed.
He'll focus on the fire ants one episode. He's like,
Ants
oh, I gave him a chicken head, and like, and some of these episodes are 15, 20, 30 minutes long, and you just. I put a spider in here. Let's follow its journey, right?
Let's see if it survives or like what it does.
Yeah, and it puts him in, and he puts him in there legit,
Red
The
ants
vivarium
versus
is-
black ants.
and he puts him in these giant vivariums. He's like, okay, well, I'm gonna create my own ecosystem here. It like there'll be water
It's
at the bottom.
self-sufficient.
It'll
yeah.
put water at the bottom and stuff at the top for the crawlers, and he'll have like rocks for the like it's crazy. Like one night I came across, I saw like a clip, and I just got lost into like
I mean, I think that is very therapeutic to have in your home, like a big like scape like that, like a
I
landscape,
used to have a crazy fish
aquascape.
tank.
and he left
Yeah.
he left it open one night.
And the ants got out?
Well, no, it was so his name is Ants Canada. It doesn't really focus too much on ants, but he has like spiders and like lizards and like everything in this big ass vivarium.
It's a little
Yes.
ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he left it open one night. He was looking for, I think he said it was like a huntsman spider like he couldn't find.
Ooh.
I think he found it in one of his shoes or something like that.
That jerk.
But yeah, like this is something that like
Ants versus snake.
you could just like like, let's dive into this for a second.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
dive into
yeah.
how crazy this is.
I think that's cool. I've always wanted something like that, like a terrarium or like an aquascape.
I would love
But like
that.
you could keep, but I think there's a lot of upkeep with that.
No, there's a
Yeah.
lot of upkeep that goes into that.
That's why I want a terrarium, because they're supposed to be self-sufficient.
If it was me, I would...
you close it up, it's gonna live
Yeah,
like
and it just lives like that, and it
Okay.
has its own little weather.
yeah.
I love things that
that's
have their
cool.
own little
Yeah,
weather.
this one does. This one has its own weather. It rains, like it mists.
Isn't that crazy?
That is cool. Yeah, my brother, I bought him one. He was really into having a pet at one point. He wanted a lizard. I bought him a spotted gecko, and we bought a terrarium for it. And you had to set it up in a way where it did mist on its own. It rained on its own because it had to stay somewhat
It
humid.
has different biomes, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the topic of Minecraft, which we've been addicted to lately.
Yes.
But this has different biomes. Like you have trees, you have water, you have like there's dirt and sand. He has like webs, like stuff that spiders can crawl up into, and like
That's cool.
it's fascinating, honestly.
That's Canada. Yeah, it's kind of like back in the day when you watch Discovery Channel and they follow like a specific animal and its life.
Yeah, they're like, let's follow this one, this one alligator.
I've always used to love that kind of like show back in the day.
Yes.
Like it's like here's this like family of lions. We're gonna follow the cubs as they grow up. You know.
Ooh, have you seen Predators
No.
on Netflix? I think it's on Netflix. It's basically that, but it's all like mostly they focus on like predatory animals and like them covering. Each episode is a different species. It's like one's lions, one's like this pack of wild dogs, and you literally just get to follow them around and see their different challenges.
That's
you know?
crazy.
They have like turf wars. It's crazy.
So on both of these notes, or all of the notes that we're talking about right now, wild dogs. I was just playing Minecraft the other day, and I was in an area where there's a lot of terracotta, which if you don't know what that is, it's like all the colorful like land. It's like it's a white and orange and yellow and whatever. I guess it's supposed to be like a desert biome, I guess. And
It's
there's
almost like clay, like adobe.
there's like hyenas or wild dogs in there that you can't tame. Can't tame them.
They eat you.
But though they eat the armadillos. There's armadillos, if you didn't know.
In the version we've been playing?
No.
Oh.
In the
New
Bedrock version,
yeah, I should probably get that.
Yeah, you should probably do that. And then, additionally, on Ants Canada, when I was a child, I used to, my family, because they have that catering business, right? I would get like to-go ramekins, like little plastic to-go ramekins. That'd be like 8, 9 ounces, 10 ounces. And I would go and like make little little terrarium scapes inside the little ramekin and then go catch ants and put them in there. And like the gold cup of that would be if you found an ant pile, we would dig it up and pull the queen out and then take some ants with it and then put it in the thing and see how long it would live.
Yeah.
We'd poke holes in it for air and everything and we'd feed them and see. Me and my cousins would have competitions to see how long we can get our little tribe to survive, you know? And it was never more than a day or two. We were probably destroying these ants' lives, but...
Yeah.
But, you know...
When I was younger, I have two things to say. Firstly, when I was younger, at one point, I was very misguided, and I stepped in an ant pile, and I thought that a show of strength was keeping my foot in the ant pile. And I was, mind you, like 4 or younger, and I kept my foot in the ant pile, and I literally got covered head to toe with ants. They were going in my nose, in my mouth, in my ear. I was probably like maybe 4.
Oh yeah, that's not a lot
Yeah, to the point where like
they could have eaten you alive.
right
Yeah.
to the point where my neighbor's wife, Nacho's wife, came out and she was like, "Oh my God, give me your hand!" Like she started like through the fence, rubbing the ants off of me. I had to go to the doctor and get a shot so that I could like expel the poison that was in me because there was so many ant bites.
And you were like 3, yeah.
And I threw up in the car.
That's
I threw the
crazy.
poison up in the car.
Yeah, those ants literally could have eaten you alive.
Second thing, along with what you were saying, first of all, have y'all ever heard the term skeeter eater?
Yeah, like the mosquito hawks?
Yeah, I never heard of that until my adult life. But I used to catch those, and I would keep them in a box under my pillow and wonder why every morning I woke up and they were dead.
Why would
I
you
was
keep them under your
also a
pillow?
child. Also a child. I was literally. I'd poke holes in the box,
So
and
to
I'm
be
like, "That's
fair-
fine." Then I suffocated them with my
I used
pillow.
to be deathly afraid of those things when
No,
I was a
I
kid.
love them. They're so sweet.
They look
I've heard of those, but I never heard of the term skeeter eater.
right.
I've heard
That's
of-
a crazy term, but I love it.
I knew what they were and what like they eat mosquitoes, but I just never heard it been called.
I always thought they were big mosquitoes.
that. I wouldn't Google that.
Right. I
Heads
thought
up.
they were bigger.
If you were,
Yeah, maybe not that.
I wouldn't like, for the audience out there, I wouldn't Google skeeter eater. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Unless you,
But
unless
it's because it's for mosquito. It's like it's a South thing.
It's a very Southern thing.
Yeah.
I always was under the impression that they call them mosquito hawks because they were bigger mosquitoes.
And they-
like a hawk is a bigger bird.
Right.
So they hurt more. So I was like, they're going to suck all my blood. Like,
They're gonna eat my entire body.
yeah, so I would stay. But you would catch them
I would literally
and cuddle with them at night. Like,
Yes.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
They're very gentle.
I feel like they itch.
That's
No.
that's part
They
of
look
the
like they-
diabolical segment because that's crazy.
I
So we
love
should have a diabolical segment.
Yeah.
I also like spiders if they're not bothering me.
I love spiders.
Like as
I love
long as you're
snakes.
not by my bed, you can live in my house. Just eat the
Ugh.
mosquitoes and flies.
That's crazy. I just watched a video yesterday of a guy who I guess he takes care of like snakes or whatever, and he had a reticulated python who laid like 4 or 5 eggs, and he took care of them until they hatched. It was like 70 days, and me and Nova were watching. It was like a Facebook reel. It was like 9 minutes long, and me and my daughter were watching it, and at the end she was like, "I want a pet snake."
Oh, I always wanted one. My
But
mom said
we
that.
also went to the we've been to a couple carnivals where they have like petting zoos, and she holds the snake every time. Like she loves snakes. Like,
Love her.
I even have pictures.
Just
of
be
audience who
careful,
wanna see,
salmonella.
but
They live forever.
snakes
They
are
live
I
forever.
mean, I do love snakes as well, but you have to make sure you get one that's not gonna, eat your face off.
Well, so there is some science behind that. Like,
Look, here she is right here.
You don't want to interact
around
with
her
it.
neck.
What you don't want to
That's
do is
so
you don't want to touch like things that it
Yeah, but
eats.
she's around her neck. She
Mind you,
loves that.
this girl is how old?
7, about to be 8.
7. Holding a python
about to be
on
9.
her
I
neck.
apologize.
That's crazy.
She's a beast.
I like snakes too. I just don't know that. I mean,
It's just so much maintenance. They kind of stink. Like,
yeah, and
they're kind of gross, but I love them.
I also have something against like I don't know. I hate that we have to feed it like a dead animal. I just don't want the animals to be hurt. But I mean, I
Right.
guess it's part of the
That's
circle of
nature,
life.
bro.
Circle of
Yeah.
life, man.
But like Montana, like I would never have her if I had to feed her
a rat.
a rat,
A live rat.
or a
much
chicken. I know she would probably love that, but
You couldn't.
I would
You
never.
couldn't, in good conscience, give her a dead or alive, or it doesn't matter.
There was
Full
a
of chicken right here. Eat this.
There was a period in time that I had to like pay like close attention to her because there used to be a time when it was like it was
Rat
wet.
infested.
No, it was just wet one year.
Oh, wet.
And she would go out and bring frogs back.
What?
And we would go out, what I used to like to do is like, I keep her leash on her, but I don't hold on to the leash. I let her go do her thing.
Yeah.
And when we come back in, she always had a frog. And I'd be like, you need to stop doing that. Like, you need to stop bringing these
Enough.
in here.
Yeah.
But when I realized like we really need to stop it is she started to brutalize them when she would bring them in. But
She would
what
just,
she would
like,
do
play
is
with
she would push her snout into them as hard as she could to like squish them.
That's
And
horrific.
I was like, we're not doing this anymore. Like, but I don't know why she would do that. But it was just like, she would bring it in happy as hell and just try to squish its insides out. And I'm like, you need to stop. Like, but
I mean, side note there, I do know somebody who used to find frogs and throw them as high as he possibly could up in the air and just watch them explode and hit the ground.
that's a psychopath.
Yeah.
That's a murderer. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw it one time and I was like, I want no part of this.
Speaking of, I think another thing that we should do, and this is, since we're getting toward closing here, since we got about, 15, 20 minutes getting toward closing, I think, we should spitball things and see what like sticks to the wall. One of the things I wanted to talk about in another episode, but we can kind of get started with now is like when you walk into someone else's house, you're bringing someone into your home, right? Or you're being introduced to somebody else's home. I think it would behoove you to ask to see what is in their refrigerator.
Ooh, yes.
Because-
a fridge tour or a kitchen tour in general.
Okay, yes. If you're going to be eating, but I say fridge specifically because and maybe this is just, Hollywood having influence on me, but I believe that most psychopaths hide body parts in the fridge, right?
Oh, yeah.
So just to make sure that you're not in the home of like a psychopath or a murderer, always ask, can I see your refrigerator? and even like to go one even further, so that way it doesn't seem so weird, because it's kind of weird walking to someone. So I'm like, can you open your fridge for me? Bring something that has to go in the fridge.
Right,
Oh, hey,
a treat.
I bought some juice.
Yeah, can we put this in the fridge? Cool. Just I'll do it. Show me where it's at.
I'm going to bring a body part.
or yeah, I mean that's even you'll find out right there. They'll be like, oh great, I have plenty of those.
Oh, yeah, put them next to the other
Put it in
generals.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Some Jeffrey Dahmer type.
there's a couple heads in the freezer. Yeah. But I had gone to someone's house the other day. We talked about this.
Right.
I was like, let me see inside your refrigerator. And they're like, why? I was like, I just want to make sure you're not a psychopath, you know? I want to make sure that I know you're not going to kill me while here, you know?
But to be fair, there's not many people's house I would walk into that I wouldn't have already trusted that person. Like if we're hanging out,
if I'm here, we're past that threshold.
If I'm here, we're more than likely past the threshold of me having to ask that. Now, if we're doing something and you bring a buddy along, or we meet somebody out, or maybe say we're out at a bar, right, or watching a fight or something like that. And like, hey, y'all come to my house. It's right down the street. We're gonna quick stop. Let's do. I have to stop and feed my dog, whatever, right? I'm like, then I get that, right? It's like, let me make sure I'm not going to turn into a lampshade.
Yeah.
Or the end of tonight, you know?
I'd make a great belt.
So do you ever feel uncomfortable walking into another person's home? Like, like if somebody, do you feel like when you walk in, like, I'm the type that, like, if you invited me into your home, I'm just assuming you're as clean and as, like, organized as I am. And I'm just going to, unless I see otherwise, and I'm just going to make myself at home when I walk. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to sit down on your couch. I'm not going to ask. You know what I mean?
That for me, I do that with like acquaintances, like friends. Like I'm like, if I like for me, the first time we got here, I was like, oh, like if it was, let's say you had to have more time to get set up like you did today.
Yeah,
I would have plopped my ass down and watched some more anime, right? Messing with the dog. You got any juice?
I'm always like, if you walk into my place, I'm letting you in, so therefore it's like, make yourself make yourself at home. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
But if I'm going to like, I don't even know, like maybe like it just depends on who it is, right? Like in-law or like somebody I'm just
someone you want to impress.
Yeah, no, not even that. Just like somebody who like somebody I wouldn't drink around.
Okay.
Right?
Valid.
Like somebody I wouldn't drink around. Somebody I wouldn't like. Somebody who's not on the same playing field as me. Like I'm gonna kind of like I wouldn't even use the bathroom. Like I wouldn't even go number 2. I won't go number 2. I'll wait till I get home.
I mean, I'll probably I wouldn't blow.
Emergencies are emergencies.
I might. I don't know.
Emergencies are emergencies, right?
I that's the first thing I do. So I get my bearings in a home. Like if you invite me over, where's your bathroom? Where's your kitchen? And then so I know now. Like you don't have to go get it from me. I'll go get it. Like you know what I mean? Like,
okay, no, that's
where
fair.
can I get water? Where can I release myself?
Yeah. Where can I? Yeah. Where can I release?
Like, where can I go be a human? Like, where can I go be human as possible?
Where can I go do the thing I gotta do?
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I think I have to do or I'm gonna possibly die.
Release is a diabolical term to use.
I like it.
Release?
Where can I release myself?
Like, what did you say?
Like, what are you trying to do in my house?
Just wash your hands when you're done.
Yeah.
Like,
don't touch anything.
I say that all the time. Like, I don't care, man. Just wash your hands when you're done. When people say anything sus like that, like, just make sure you
clean up after
yourself.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Just don't
use soap. Yeah, before you walk out.
Just don't mess the sheets up, right?
Yeah.
But no. Those are the first things I'll ask, especially if I feel comfortable with you. I'm just assuming, like, if you were to come into my home, right, and I have snacks, and you're like, damn, I'm hungry. Like, you really don't have to ask. You'd be like, yo, I'm gonna eat some of these. I'm like, whatever.
But to be
like
fair,
this, for instance, right? I brought that out, and you're kind of like picking at it. I'm like, no, fucking eat them. Like, you know, like eat that.
We ate them.
Yeah. Because I feel like as a good host, you gotta have, if you're gonna bring people into your home, you gotta
have food.
You gotta have something to feed them with and something to drink.
And something to drink.
Yeah.
You gotta have something to drink, bro. If you don't have anything in your house and you're invited,
because I'll always bring what I bring in because I'm chronically thirsty. But if I can't refill it, or if I'm sitting here dry mouth for then it's gonna be I might not come back.
So like the same thing as like going to like a party or a barbecue. Like you got to bring something, right? You don't just show up, Like,
true. Mama
always told me, like, you never show up to a birthday or empty-handed, right? Whether you're bringing something, you don't have to be anything crazy. I was like, oh, I brought a little bottle of wine, or here's a 6-pack to contribute, something or another.
And it depends on context, obviously, too. Like, depending if whose birthday, what birthday, how old, certain stuff like that. But if I'm going to like your birthday, I'm bringing something.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless told otherwise, Like, for me, if I was barbecuing for people, you bringing something would be offense to me. I'd be like, don't do that. I made enough for everybody.
Yeah. But if I told you beforehand, like, I'll make a mean potato salad, I'm going to bring some.
I'll be like, yeah. I'd be like, oh, cool. Bring that.
Okay, bring some potato salad. But if you just show up, like, oh, I brought.
But I will usually tell my guests, we're like, oh, we're going to come do this thing. Don't worry about anything. I take care of it all.
Yeah.
I'm going to go break the bank and cook everything. You don't have to worry about it. Just come, enjoy yourself, have a good time.
Yeah,
You know?
it should be stated beforehand as adults. Like, hey, I'm doing this. You guys just bring yourselves. You know what I mean? That's all you have to do is bring yourselves. But it's like, hey, we're doing a thing. If you want to bring some salad, like the Super Bowl, right? If there's a Super Bowl thing, like, hey, bring some nachos. Or if you make a
Can you contribute?
Yeah,
you might throwing in some stuff.
I remember you made those armadillo eggs last time. Can you make them again, or whatever the case may be, Ryan?
I think that would be a great topic, since like we're getting into closing on today's freeform format episode.
Freeform first format.
Yeah, first freeform format episode. I think like party, gathering, barbecue, cookout, etiquette.
I like that.
And then would be a good one. And then also want to talk about company potlucks. Like,
oh my god,
that goes hand in hand. I was going to say just now
they kind of work together. Yeah.
To your point about the whole refrigerator thing, I'm not just eating anybody's food at a potluck.
See, I've been a little more lax about that lately.
Yeah.
Even though, maybe I just think I'm not really thinking too much about it. But then there was that instance we had recently with the hair hot dogs, and I was like,
yeah, but that wasn't like a potluck. That was
a legit business.
That was a business.
Who should be held accountable for his actions?
Yeah, they're not gonna name any names, but they're called the Doghouse.
We'll beat that just so we don't.
Yeah, we'll bleep that out. Yeah,
the beep house,
the beep beep.
The beep beep. Yeah,
but there was hair and asbestos in the food.
Apparently asbestos. Yeah,
yeah. I don't know.
I didn't know we need to go that far. I didn't know you could have asbestos in a food truck. But apparently that was it.
Just know that if you have an AC in the food truck and it's spitting out black dust, you can call it whatever you want.
That's diabolical. You'd think they would have seen that and been like, we need to fix this.
No, people were legitimately staring like, what?
But I'll be honest, in my defense, one of the reasons why I didn't buy from that, because I saw the type of vehicle, which don't get me wrong, my family's food truck is toted behind like an older F-250, but that one looked sus. The truck that was pulling that food truck, it's like, that is a sus vehicle.
Yeah,
just pulling that around. The
vibes around that were just not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And hot dogs aren't that good for me to have to go to a hot. You know what I mean?
Hot dogs to begin with. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I did have one.
How was it?
It was good. It was plain, though. I heard that the problem areas were with the brisket and the mac and cheese, which I had neither. Oh, the pulled pork, which I had neither of.
The best things.
I did once, but I was trying to save some money, so all I got was just like a plain hot dog with chili, cheese, mayo, and I think that's it.
Some onions. I would have just chili and onions.
So you did put mayo on it.
I did, in fact, put mayo. Actually, he put mayo on it for me, and not in the way that I would have wanted it. Because I would have wanted it spread on the bread, maybe toasted a little, but that's not necessary.
So it was very spaghetti bread.
He put it on the top, and I didn't like the drizzle. So I actually, when I got to the table, I flipped it. I flipped the wiener over,
rolled it around,
so that the mayo was on the bottom.
We're gonna talk about why you call them wieners as well.
I don't know. It's a wiener.
I just call them hot dogs. Sometimes even just dogs. Shaboing boings.
Shaboing boing. Sausage. Okay.
Sausage.
So yeah, again, the last time that we talked, we did talk about like, and this again, we'll get in. We're getting this started for a next episode, so maybe take some notes and we'll try to remember this. But like the first recording we were talking about like food interests and like what we do and don't like, and like picky eaters and things like that. One of the things we're talking about is the way a cohort of ours enjoys hot dogs, and it was like very much a struggle food.
Yeah, in my opinion.
I mean, I think in all of our opinions,
it's more convenient that way.
Okay, I guess you could still consider that a struggle, because like it's too much work to do it the other way.
Right.
That I'm going to do it this way. That I have to struggle to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But another good topic that I think would be great to talk about is like picky eaters in general. Because
I can go ham on some picky eaters.
I have a theory.
Okay.
That the majority of all picky eaters are bad people. And here's why.
Unless they're children, they just don't know better.
No. They're the scourge of the picky eaters. They are the worst.
They're the reason I have this opinion.
Because they're unfiltered.
Oh my god.
Right? So you see the true evil come out in the children. And that comes from, again, the way that you raise that child, right? You're allowing them to be a piece of shit. So my thing is this, okay? So we can, we talk about this next time we come in here. My family owns a catering business, right? We've established that before. Maybe not officially on today's episode, but my family owns a business. Shout out to Luna's Barbecue and More in San Antonio, Texas. Go check them out if you listen and you're in San Antonio. But we used to do a catering event for an overnight couples therapy retreat
Ooh, that's so fun.
in the Catholic Church, and it was at a hotel.
mind.
Yeah, it was all strictly Catholic. They were married. Here's couples that are about to get a divorce, and they're trying to save their marriage. And we would cater their lunches and their dinners because they were overnight, right? Stayed at a hotel over off on the west side of San Antonio, like northwest side, northeast side, one of the two.
Somewhere.
Yeah, and every single time that we interacted with these groups of these couples, there was always one that was a picky eater, and they were always the one who was the worst. They were always the meanest. They always looked the meanest. They always never had anything good to say. It was always like something was wrong, but the other person in the relationship was always like, "Don't worry, we'll figure it out." You know, like try to make it.
We'll work through it.
You know. But they would come to us, is there pepper in this? Because I'm deathly allergic to pepper. I can't have pepper. And then the other spouse, whether it be a man or a woman, would be like, we'll figure it out. Like, sorry about this, you know?
Yeah.
Apologetic for them.
So ever since then, I've asked a lot of people, like, do you have a picky eater in your life? You know? A lot of people have been like, I have, or I used to, or there once was. And they've always been shitty people. So I'm under the impression that...
But we know one, and she's not, by any means.
Do we? Now, like I said,
I know you can be a good person, but you can also, two things can be true at once. You could be, and I'm not saying this about this person or anything, but you can be behind closed doors a very bad person.
Yeah. But also, too, like I said before, there's a majority, there's exceptions to this rule. Right. But theory is that there's a large majority of people that are. So she could be an exception to the rule. But then again, like you said, two things can be true at once. Not to talk shit about anybody that's not here.
Yeah.
Because we love her to death and we think she is a good person. But
We think.
But we don't know, right? We don't know.
We haven't checked your fridge.
We haven't looked at the fridge.
Exactly.
She's not been on the podcast. Anyway.
You're a serial killer until you aren't, in my eyes.
Exactly. You're guilty until, or you're innocent until proven guilty, basically, right? Or guilty until
proven innocent.
Yeah.
I kind of like to take that approach just with life in general because I
only trust you as far as I can throw you.
I hate you until I don't.
Yeah.
Like I know hate's a strong word, but I hate people overall.
That's fair.
I hate you until I don't.
I think I think this theory that I have is a spectrum. Because there is a threshold that you can cross that you're like, okay, now you've crossed into the shitty person, picky eater spectrum.
When
right?
you make your food preferences everyone else's problem, that's when you're a bad person.
An example I was given was, which he'll be on the podcast eventually, so we could say Chach.
Yeah.
Was talking about his...
Our boy.
Yeah, our boy Chach. He was talking about his ex-wife specifically, which I don't think he would care if I brought this up, because he'd probably talk about it himself. But he mentioned a specific time where his brother-in-law or somebody was cooking Christmas dinner, and they didn't want to eat that, and so they made Chach go get them Sonic on Christmas Eve.
Oh,
to
hell
eat
no.
instead of the Christmas
I made
dinner.
this whole meal for you, and
Offensive.
you're gonna spit in my face.
It's
But
so
that is just like
unless you have some dietary restrictions.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Or
There's
if you're
no
like
way.
trying to be healthy and all they have is like, full fat pig there, like.
Yeah, there are scenarios where that's like, hey, I'm not gonna. But in the instance, like, go get me Sonic. We know that that's
No,
the case.
absolutely not. Yeah, like
If you
you,
like, can you go
would
get
rather
me-
have shitty oiled up food than this banquet that I prepared for you on this day.
We're not gonna slander Sonic. First off,
No,
Sonic
I mean,
is delicious.
it's greasy. It's greasy.
Sponsor us, Sonic.
yeah,
I love
they do
your
have some
grease.
good stuff on the menu.
No,
and
their
they serve
mozzarella
breakfast.
sticks.
I think she just means fast food in general.
Right.
Yeah,
Which
fast
Sonic
food.
is an exception for.
Fast food. If you're turning down a nice homemade meal for fast food for reasons other than you just don't
Allergy
like it.
or I can't eat.
Well, the other
that.
example
Yeah.
that he gave was that another instance like that took place where they brought leftovers from Olive Garden. And we're like, I'm going to eat these leftovers over eating what you cooked. And they brought that in preemptively, knowing what they're going to cook, I'm not going to eat, so I'm going to bring my leftovers. And I thought that was diabolical.
You know, it's crazy.
It's like, don't come over then.
Yeah.
Why are you here for
But
dinner?
yeah.
So
Eat
to
at
round,
home.
to round it out, I have somebody in my life who doesn't eat leftovers at all ever.
Crazy.
But
Call them out.
it's also the fact that they make so much food. Like, we went to hang out with them for something recently, and they had made huge pot of pork, mac and cheese, rice,
Oh,
like
delicious.
just the whole spread, right? And like, just take it because we don't eat. I don't eat leftovers. It's like,
There are
Don't mind if I
people dying in other countries.
Yeah, like just
eat your leftovers.
Take it. Like I don't.
No,
we don't.
I'll
we
take
don't.
it. It'll be mine.
I will eat leftovers for days.
Like it's still hot in the pan.
I
Like
will
take it.
freeze it and eat it for weeks,
Yeah.
bro.
It's
Like
still
what do you
steaming,
mean?
and they're like,
I will-
just take it because I don't eat leftovers. Like
we could dive back into that on the next.
Yeah.
We kind of went all over
I'll
the
make
place.
note. I'll make note.
We'll come
kinda
back
went
around.
Yeah, we kind of went all over the place with this one today. It was a little less organized.
But I feel like it was less scatterbrained than the last one.
I hope you
Our
enjoy
first
it.
cut.
Yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed it. I think our first cut was a little more
Structured.
in my opinion. But I'll have to listen back to it and we'll say. But
We'll
we were
compare.
everywhere. I think today, is like what they call it on Jerry Springer. It's Jerry's last thoughts, right?
Ooh.
I think
Ooh.
our
I
last
love Jerry
thoughts.
Springer.
Yeah, that's another topic we're going to talk about.
Uh-huh.
I think in closing, the moral of today's episode is romance is dead. OnlyFans.
Don't pay for porn.
Don't pay for porn.
Teach your children.
Be better
Please be a good
parents.
parent.
Be better
Please.
parents. Romance is dead.
Romance is dead in
And
the way that
quinceañeras
it's
are scary.
presented.
Quinceañeras are scary.
Quinceañeras are scary.
You're selling your daughters.
Who?
That's what quinceañeras are.
Oh, okay. I was
Okay.
threw me off for a loop there. But yes,
And-
essentially,
Kia Carnivals and K4s are
Hey.
top notch.
are top notch. And Ford Broncos,
Are also
you can
top-
live in a Ford Bronco.
You can live in a Ford
Walmart parking lot.
In a Walmart parking lot. So if there's anything you take away from today's episode, it's buy a Ford Bronco, live inside of a Walmart parking lot.
And don't eat at the doghouse.
And check their fridge.
Don't eat at the doghouse.
Check your neighbor's fridges.
Check your neighbor's fridges. And romance is dead. So this is
I love that.
On a Recorded Line podcast. Until next time,
Until next time, guys.
Bye.
don't forget it.
Don't forget us.
We love you.
Adios.
Cool.
You get 2 hours.
Yeah, that's more than that.
Solid.
That was actually really good.
Yeah.
I mean,
I actually love
we were flowing there for a second.